welcome back to All the Marios. I'm your world's foremost expert on Mushroom Kingdom history, Doc Phoenix.
And I'm CompuNick, and this is Super Mario World again.
Yeah, we're in a balloon. Look at that. We got an opening cutscene. So this is Super Mario Advance 2, the remake of Super Mario World for the Game Boy Advance, continuing in the Super Mario Advance series. And here we have a brand new opening cutscene for this game that it never had before. And they're on a picnic. They went to Dinosaur Land to have a picnic, and then they found the feather, and now they can fly.
And feathers give them capes. That still is not really explained.
No, it's Mushroom World logic. And let's look at all this stuff. They got all these critters running around, all the cool wildlife, and Luigi can fly too. And his flight is slightly slower than Mario's and does like a higher dip and things. And they go off and they have a nice little flight, and then they come back, and now there's no princess. There's no princess now.
God damn it.
Mario and Luigi are bad bodyguards.
Well, this was their vacation, not...
Yeah. They should have brought good bodyguards, though. Though I guess Peach doesn't have good bodyguards?
Just mushrooms.
Anyway, Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2. So, there is not as much new to this game as there was in Super Mario Advance 1. As I had mentioned before, all of the Super Mario Advance games have the Mario Brothers remake as well. It's all the same thing. We're not going to look at Mario Brothers in this game. It is exactly the same as Mario Brothers was in the first one. I would like to point out, there's a little bit of laziness going on here. When they loaded up there, did you notice that, there was the voice clip that said Super Mario?
Yeah.
Because, in the first one, it's like Super Mario 2. They had the voice clip when you loaded it up. This is the game that you play. It's the exact same voice clip, but they cut off 2.
Okay.
They didn't say Super Mario World. They just said Super Mario.
It's true.
Welcome to Dinosaur Land. Seems Princess Toadstool's missing, and that means Bowser must be up to his old tricks again.
This is a slightly different rewording.
And Mario is staring at the black rectangle in the sky as Luigi panics.
Luigi is also there.
So, we're gonna go over here all of, the actual changes in this game, and then we're going to dive into the recap that we usually do when we're doing these, old remake games. The first big change being, there is no two-player mode, it's one-player only, and you switch between Mario and Luigi, and they have different physics. So, as is normal for all of the games that have this kind of thing, Luigi is slipperier, he jumps higher, he's floatier. There's also some differences with how he performs on Yoshi's and how he performs while flying. So you'll also notice it's got voice clips. Most of them are just the voice clips that they used in Super Mario Advance 1, that they just kind of ported over and reused in various locations here. Obviously, screen size. It's different screen size than the SNES. That causes a few issues. Same kind of issues that have been in all of the remake games that they've ever done, because they've always been on the portable consoles with tiny screens. So that is something to deal with. But it has a couple of more features. It keeps track of the dragon coins that you collect.
Oh, well, that's good, because they didn't do that before.
Yeah, and you actually, it's like a completion thing that it does. When you get all of the dragon coins on a level, then you get, a little mark on that level. It says, hey, you've got all the coins on this level, and...
Pretty sure we didn't bother doing that on our run-through.
No, because it wasn't tracked in the SNES one, so we didn't bother doing that. But here I do it, because it's tracked.
Oh, Charlie dropped 3 coins.
Yeah, he did. That's
Charlie, I mean Charging Chuck.
Yes, that is his name, Chuck.
Charles.
He charges.
Yeah.
He's in charge, perhaps?
Charles is in charge of charging.
Anyway, other changes in the game. We've got here we've got our list of stages. So you hit select on the world map, and it shows you the list of stages. It shows you which exits you've completed with an M or L indicating which character you completed them with. And the little coin mark there that shows whether you got the dragon coins on the stage. So you can load that up to see all of the completion. And now forts and castles have dragon coins. They didn't have any before.
Right.
Also, you know in the original how you could hold L and R to replay a castle, otherwise you couldn't go back in after you cleared it?
Right.
In this one, you can only replay castles after you've beaten Bowser. It doesn't take any kind of button combo to do, they're just available. But this does mean that if you miss the dragon coins in a fort or castle, then you cannot go back to collect them for completion until after you've finished the game. So, saving in this game, you can save at any time on the world map. You just hit start and you get the save prompt. So you don't have to, like, go to the Switch Palace or Ghost House or a castle or anything. So you always have the ability to save. You can also save in the middle of a stage. When you load, you won't be in the middle of that stage. But you can save whenever. Your characters share power-ups. So, like, if you pick up some power-ups as Mario and then switch to Luigi, he'll be in the same power-up state that Mario was in. Other changes going on. So, there are... Mostly the changes are to do with Luigi, and the way that Luigi is different.
Yoshi.
There's Yoshi. So,
Yeah, they had to nerf Luigi somehow. Because he was clearly the best character in the original Super Mario World.
Yes, clearly.
He saved the princess.
Yeah, something else with Luigi that we won't see for a bit that's a little weird. When Luigi is riding a Yoshi, and he eats a non-Koopa enemy, normally when you eat a non-Koopa enemy with a Yoshi, you would just swallow it. When Luigi is riding Yoshi, he doesn't just swallow it. He gets to store it as a projectile that he can then spit out later.
So, like,
kind of like a green shell.
Gophers that are coming up.
So yeah, we'll see that in a little bit with the gophers. Yeah, you see here, he's just holding it in his mouth.
Let's see.
And then you spit it out. And as with any other thing that Yoshi can hold in his mouth, after a little bit, he will swallow it if you just let it sit in there for a while. Yeah, things with Luigi. Luigi's fireballs bounce a little higher, I believe it was? Yeah. Luigi's fireballs bounce higher when he has fireballs. So, speaking of power-ups, in this version, when you take damage, you only go down one step of power-up. So, if you've got cape or fire, you get knocked to big rather than going straight to small. So, it's kind of nifty. So, you know those blocks where you hit them and they have coins in them and you have to hit them repeatedly to get all the coins out of them?
Yes.
When Luigi hits one of those blocks, all of the coins spill out at once.
Huh.
So that's kind of a weird change. Weird difference there. Right, another thing in this game that is, not related to Mario and Luigi differences. Yoshi's. In this game, once you have found the colored Yoshis in the Star World, they are they can show up elsewhere in the game.
Huh.
So, like, the first time that you unlock each color of Yoshi, now anytime you would find a Yoshi egg, it has a chance to be one of those, any color that you've unlocked.
Huh.
And there is also, it can be fixed based on your current power-up state. So if you have a fire flower up, then every Yoshi you find will be red. If you have a cape, every Yoshi you find will be blue. Those are the only states that actually have a fixed thing. But that's kind of nifty that you can always guarantee a blue Yoshi if you have a cape. Blue Yoshi is the best.
One of the superior Yoshis, yes.
That, I think, pretty much covers all of the changes in this game. There are a couple of other things that I'll point out as we get to them. A couple of different weird things, bonus things. But we'll see those as we get to them occasionally. We'll kind of stop and point them out. But otherwise, yeah, it's Super Mario World. You play through the game. It tracks all of the exits. There's the 96 different exits that you clear. You get all of those to get completion.
Star World and a
Star World, the special world. That is a thing. I'll go ahead and mention that now while we're talking about changes. in the original Super Mario World, when you clear the special world, it changes the palettes, and certain enemies will have new costumes, kind of.
Halloween mode, yeah.
Yeah. In this one, that unlocks after you clear all of the exits. So, even if you clear the special zone, you won't get that if you haven't finished all of the other exits. I've already said this several times, that pretty much covers the changes. There is not a lot different in this version of the game. It's just kind of, here's a way to play Super Mario World in 2001, when it's been many years since the SNES has been a thing that has been easily available.
Gonna say this, I was still playing 2000... In 2001, I was still playing Super Mario World on the SNES.
Well, yeah, because you had an SNES from when it was new. This is for people who did not have the opportunity to get it back then.
Okay.
Who get to have the chance to play these games now. Alright, so we went over the changes. We're basically done talking about changes. Now let's talk about the history. So as we usually do when we do these remake games where we've already seen the game before and there's not a whole lot to talk about it that we haven't already said, we can go over a recap of the full story of what's going on with Mario. Because if any of you is a new viewer, there's a lot that you don't know about Mario that we can reveal for you here. So, it starts with the prophecy. Kamek, the head magician of the Koopa Kingdom and regent for the infant King Bowser Koopa, foresaw the birth of twins who would cause problems for the Koopa Kingdom and the Koopa family. And so Kamek decides to try to prevent this prophecy from coming to pass by kidnapping these babies during their birth. So he intercepted the stork.
Right, which is, as we all know, is what delivers babies.
Or at the very least, it's what delivers magic prophecy babies. We don't know if all babies are delivered by stork. We just know that these mystically spawned heroes were being delivered by stork to some unsuspecting Mushroom Kingdom couple.
It's true, we have seen Yoshi's born from eggs.
But then the stork got intercepted by Kamek, who tried to steal both babies, but only stole one. Kamek grabbed baby Luigi and took him back to the castle, and baby Mario fell from the sky onto Yoshi's island, and specifically fell directly onto the back of Yoshi, the Yoshi named Yoshi.
Right. The Yoshi from this game.
One of the Yoshis from this game. Yoshi, the Yoshi named Yoshi, is a green Yoshi specifically.
He has a house.
He does have a house. So Mario has landed on the back of Yoshi, the Yoshi named Yoshi. And Yoshi has found the map dropped by the stork and decides to just do something about this baby. This baby has a connection with his twin, because twins have connections like that, apparently. And so Mario knows where Luigi is, and can point the Yoshis in the direction of them. And Yoshi just decides to go and help reunite Mario with his twin brother. Why exactly he decided to do this is not clear.
Perhaps they do the prophecy as well.
Maybe they were instruments of fate. Maybe just they were bored. Because Yoshi managed to get all of the other Yoshis on the island together to help with this, to do like a relay system of passing this baby across the span of the island.
Mm-hmm. The
So,
Yoshi's Island,
yes.
which is Super Mario World 2.
Correct. And also, the first part of Super Mario World 1 was on Yoshi's Island. This is the first chapter.
We just completed Yoshi's Island.
Exactly. So, the Yoshis, all carrying this baby across, march across the island, and obliterate all of the Koopa Kingdom forces on the island, destroying all of their fortresses and slaughtering all of their generals and such. And Kamek is trying to stop them by magically enhancing various creatures along the way, and the Yoshis are just destroying them because Yoshis are horrifying monsters. But they managed to get Baby Mario all the way to the Koopa Kingdom, to Baby Luigi. There are two important things to take note of here, which is Hookbill the Koopa and Raphael the Raven, two of the creatures that Kamek enhanced with magic. Raphael the Raven was a normal raven, and then got magically enhanced and became huge, and then became angry, and then Yoshi kicked it into space.
Right.
Hookbill the Koopa was a normal Koopa Troopa who got enhanced and tried to fight the Yoshi, but his shell was shattered, and he survived, but the enhancement was destroyed. These two characters will come back later. That's why I'm mentioning them. But, anyway, Yoshi brings Mario to the Koopa Kingdom. They march into Baby Bowser's room. into King Bowser's childhood room. And, beat him up. They beat up this baby.
Because the baby was told them to.
Because things were happening. Really, Bowser was not at fault here. It's all Kamek's fault that this happened. Mm-hmm. Bowser was just kind of there and having a nap and got interrupted by this horrible Yoshi monster. And then they got beat up, and Kamek, out of fear for his own life and the life of his king, fled to the moon.
Yes.
So...
We saw that. It happened.
So then, Mario and Luigi reunited. The stork was all... That's right. Kamek had also had the stork bound up with baby Luigi there. So they released the stork. They returned the babies to the stork. The stork delivers them. Bam! Mario and Luigi are officially born? As in, they have been delivered to these random people who are not expecting children.
Isn't that how all children work?
Possibly? But anyway, that's where things began. Now, there's a big gap of time where there's not a lot that we know concretely about what happens with Mario. We do know what happens with the Yoshis next, though.
They had a story.
Yeah, so Bowser, the infant, still, infant Bowser on the moon, steals some kind of storybook magic. The Koopa Kingdom is very powerful in black magics, and, I don't know, we don't know exactly how Bowser got this magic. Either he stole it from Kamek, or he demanded that the other Magic Koopas give him access to it or something. But, the point is that he got this magic, and he used it to turn Yoshi's Island into a storybook, and through that, stole their Super Happy Tree.
That was his last mistake.
Well, no, it was a mistake. But certainly not his last.
Mistake, actually.
This made the Yoshis furious. And they kind of flipped out, and they were raging around, and they couldn't do anything productive because they were too angry. Fortunately for the Yoshis, there were 6 newborns who weren't as affected by the loss of the Super Happy Tree, having never known it because they were newborns. Now, Yoshis are born with an inherent knowledge of certain things about the world, such as Bowser is bad and murder is good. So these 6 newborn Yoshis decided to, knowing about the Super Happy Tree, that it exists and that it was stolen, and that's why all the other Yoshis are freaking out, they went on an adventure. and they followed the trail of fruits that were left by the tree across the island, across the storybook, and managed to get to Bowser and beat him up again and take the tree back, and then everything was fine. And Bowser was carried back off to the moon by the toadies that he'd brought with him, and then he's on the moon for a long time. We assume. Minor aside, back to what we're actually seeing in the video here. There is, in this stage, Donut Plains 1, there's a weird sort of side minigame thing in this pipe here. You've got this little block. You hit that, and it has a counter for 600 coins.
Okay.
If you manage to collect all 600 coins on this screen, which involves a lot of flying and carefully going through and grabbing everything, and it takes a while to get it all. Once you get it, you get 3 lives, and also these birds just hover around you. So,
using the bird sprites.
Yep.
Then I guess you die from timeout.
Yeah. Alright, so, back to the recap. This is all, based on our current knowledge of the timeline of the history from what we have seen so far. Anything that comes up in the future that contradicts this, we'll incorporate it into the timeline, we'll make corrections as we go. This is how history works. You learn things, you learn new things, and then you make your best guess about what actually happened based on what you currently know.
What we do know is that at some point during this time, Baby Mario is tormented by Wario.
Yes, so at some point in time, we don't know why, we don't know how, Baby Mario starts becoming tormented by this weird fey imp creature in his dreams that takes on his appearance and calls itself Wario. We don't know exactly when this happens. I don't know whether this is before or after Baby Mario starts time traveling. Because that's also a thing that happens. Baby Mario comes unstuck in time for a bit.
We'll talk about that when we get to it.
We'll at some point in time, we will learn a bit more about the time travel shenanigans. That's in a later game, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if that explains anything going on with this. Point is, Baby Mario, during his infancy, somehow ended up time traveling and wound up playing sports mostly with his future self as an adult and all of his friends. So, that happened. And also at some point during Mario's childhood, he starts, becoming tormented by Wario. Now, this was something that I had been thinking of, that I was wondering whether Baby Mario is being tormented by Wario, whether that starts before or after the time travel. Because if it's after the time travel, then Baby Mario met Wario in the future first. And could that perhaps have been the seed that created Wario in the past in Baby Mario's mind?
You're looking at me as if I was going to have an answer to this.
I'm looking at you as to see if you have any reaction. This is something I'm throwing out here. I'm not sure about.
Well, we'll find out for sure.
So that's a possibility that is interesting. That Wario's existence may have defined itself and created itself and caused itself. So anyway, at this point, some point in time, Mario and Luigi leave the Mushroom Kingdom, because that's where their parents were, that's where they were delivered by the stork. But at some point in time, they leave the Mushroom Kingdom. The next thing that we know for certain is that they are adults living in New York City. So we do not know what happens during that big gap of time. At least not with Mario and Luigi. We do know what happens with Bowser and Yoshi's. Bowser, as an adult, returns from the moon. He reclaims his kingdom, and he goes after the Yoshis. The Yoshis have been the bane of his life so far. So he goes after them. He conquers Yoshi's Island with enchantment magic. He enchants all of the Yoshis and their friends, and bends them to his will, except one Yoshi that resists the magic. And this is probably Yoshi the Yoshi named Yoshi. It's not called out explicitly, but it's probably Yoshi the Yoshi named Yoshi who resists the enchantment, who then fights all of his friends to free them from the enchantment, and marches through and slays all of Bowser's forces again. So, this is where Hookbill the Koopa comes back. He is... I don't think he's enchanted anymore. He's just lived long enough to become huge, naturally. But he doesn't live any longer, because the Yoshis fucking murder him at this point. He is dead. Kamek almost dies. He throws his toadies in the way to die in his place and teleports out. Bowser does die. This is the first time that we see Bowser die.
Which game is this?
This is, Tetris Attack.
Okay. Continue.
So, Bowser is killed, and at some point in the near future, revived by Kamek, because they can just do that. There's something the Koopa Kingdom can do. So that's all that goes on with Bowser. So now back to Mario. By which I mean now to the Kongs. Because we have to talk about the Kong family. The Kong family is a global interdimensional criminal syndicate of primates?
I'm not sure how interdimensional they are.
Well, at least not how interdimensional they were. We don't know whether this was their first incursion onto Earth, or whether they'd been there before. Point is, they're this big crime syndicate of primates that rule the Congo jungle. That's Congo with a K, not with a C. This is a jungle in the mushroom world. And they run all sorts of criminal activities, and they are at eternal war, probably, with the Kremlings, crocodiles, another syndicate of some sort, that, yeah. So there's Kongs, and they are headed by, the head of the Kong family is known as Donkey Kong. This is a title that is passed down. Donkey may or may not mean something in Kong language. It might just be a coincidence. It might be something...
I would like to propose that it is actually a disambiguation of Don and Key.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Donkey is the Don of the family and also the key member of the family.
Aha! Okay, yeah. So the Don of the Kong Mafia, Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Donkey is a title, you see.
So, the current Donkey Kong, he's a very powerful, very successful Kong. He's got a family, he's got at least 2 kids, at least 1 grandkid. He's been running the family and things are going fine as far as we're aware. For some reason, we don't know why, we don't know how, he ends up in New York City. Maybe he was exploring and found a warp from the Mushroom World into, through the New York sewers. Maybe he wound up through the warp in the Antarctic that we'll talk about later.
I would like to suggest, again, that it is similar to the happenings of what we call King Kong here on Earth. Related to this Don of the Kongs, they just remove the donkey part and replace it with King Kong and made a dramatization of these events.
We do know that King Kong exists in this continuity. It has been explicitly said that King Kong belongs on the Empire State Building.
Yes.
So maybe, here's an idea. Maybe news of this King Kong got from Earth back to the Mushroom World, back to the Kong family, who take it as an insult. Who is this gorilla who calls himself King of the Kongs? We need to do something about that. We gotta find this guy and, show him what's what. So the Donkey Kong comes to New York City looking for the King Kong. Doesn't find him. And for some reason, decides to kidnap a woman. Again, not sure why. Maybe he's just trying to show his own strength to the humans here. Maybe he's just bored and does it for fun. I don't know.
I would like to think that it is a misinterpretation of the King Kong mythos, that clearly the way to draw out this King Kong is to kidnap a lady and climb a building.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see, yeah. So, one way or another, one reason or another, Donkey Kong kidnaps a woman named Pauline and climbs up this under-construction skyscraper. This under-construction skyscraper where little Mario is working. So, here we have Mario, the Mario that we know, is a carpenter working as on this construction site on this building. And this gorilla shows up with a kidnapped woman, and Mario, being a naturally born hero...
We know this, it's mystic. And prophesized.
Exactly. So he decides that he needs to rescue this woman. And so, his heroic instincts kicks in. He climbs up the tower, dodging all of the barrels that the Donkey Kong is throwing at him, and all of the other hazards and fire and such. And
semi-sentient fire and electricity
and makes it up and drops Donkey Kong from the building by deconstructing part of it. And manages to save the girl. And everything's great. Except it's not great, because this is kind of a big spectacle. And it's a big spectacle of a construction worker climbing a build site without wearing proper protective equipment. Mario was not wearing his helmet.
It's true.
And, maybe he had trouble with this in the past. Maybe this was just the first time, but it was such a big thing that it was, it was an immediate big problem. One way or another, Mario got fired for this incident. It kind of brought OSHA down on his employer that, his worker is clearly not following proper safety regulations. Are there even proper safety regulations being followed by anyone at this work site, So they had this whole thing going on. So Mario is fired. So Mario is confused and angry because, he's being a hero. He did the right thing. He always works hard, and he knows that he's doing right, and all he got for it is unemployment. No reward, no anything.
A monkey.
And a gorilla. All he has to his name now is a gorilla. So he takes this gorilla, cages it up, and flees to some jungle somewhere, and starts trying to train this gorilla to do his evil bidding. Mario becomes a bit of a supervillain. So he has this secret lair in some jungle somewhere, and he's trying to train Donkey Kong to be his servant.
Or some kind of zoo.
Or something. He's also gaining command of other creatures, like crocodiles and birds.
Yeah.
Are bent to his will that he's commanding them. So, now is when Junior comes in. Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong's son, followed him to Earth because he never came home. He'd gone to Earth to fight this king, who he ended up never finding, and then never came home. So Junior has to come follow him and find out what happened. Where is his dad? And he finds somehow he finds out where Donkey Kong is being held in the jungle by Mario, and chases Mario through the jungle back to his secret lair. Mario has a helicopter for some reason. I can only assume he stole it, because how do you afford a helicopter on a carpenter's salary after you've been fired? But he's gets to Mario's lair and drops Mario off of a tall building and almost kills him, leaves him for dead, and takes his dad and goes home. Actually, no, they don't go home. The Kongs take over this secret lair that Mario had left. That's right. They take it over and start using it as like a training center. We'll talk about that a bit later. But they leave Mario, he's left for dead, and he realizes that being evil is wrong. So he goes back home and, wants to just get a clean slate, start over with a new job and get back on the straight and narrow. So when Mario gets home, he meets up with his brother. They live together. Luigi, this whole time, has been working at a bottling factory. Putting bottles together into crates on an assembly line. So, Luigi helps Mario get hired at the bottling factory with him. To help him get back on his feet. Mario is working at this bottling factory and sees extremely unsafe working conditions. Now, having lost a job previously due to flaunting safety regulations, Mario has and also, having just had a near-death experience, Mario has a newfound respect for safety, for workplace safety, and so he starts, kind of making a big stink about this to the managers, the bosses, saying, hey, this isn't good. There's unsafe work conditions. You're running things a little too fast. There's not really any controls for stopping the bottles from flying off of the conveyor belts and just shattering. There's broken glass laying around. These are some problems. And the bosses don't like that. Bosses don't like being told that there's problems and that they don't like whistleblowers. So they start running things even faster and just basically actively start sabotaging Mario and Luigi until they screw up enough times that they can justify having them fired. So, Mario and Luigi are now unemployed. So Mario finds another job before too long at a cement factory, which is basically kind of a repeat of the bottling factory. It's extremely unsafe conditions, he points them out, the bosses aren't happy, they run him ragged until he's fired. And at this point, he's kind of got a reputation as an OSHA whistleblower, and now nobody wants to hire him.
Luigi, meanwhile, starts a plumbing business.
Well, that's actually a little bit later. They do it together. Mario and Luigi, after Mario is fired from the cement factory, Mario and Luigi together decide to start a plumbing business. Now, backing up a little bit, Bowser, having been revived, decides to forget about the Yoshis. Forget the Yoshis, we can't do shit with them, they are too dangerous. Leave them alone. The Mushroom Kingdom, though, they can be conquered. So Bowser uses more dark magics to transform all of the peoples of the Mushroom Kingdom into bricks and shrubs and other inanimate things, and kidnaps the Princess Peach Toadstool, who was unaffected because of some royal magics that she has in the royal bloodline.
It's their connection to the stars.
They don't have that yet.
Yet.
Anyway, one way or another, the princess is not affected. Her direct Toad retainers are not affected. But otherwise, Bowser has conquered the Mushroom Kingdom. Now, while this was happening, while Bowser was marching his forces across the kingdom, some of them got lost. Because, there's warp pipes all over, and some of them wound up taking warp pipes to Earth. They don't have maps of the warp pipe system, especially the ones that go to another world. And so there's some Koopa forces wind up in the sewers of New York. Now, at this point, New York City is having some problems because their sewer workers are going missing. And they don't know why. So there's these two new plumbers, this new small plumber business that has shown up. And so they give them the opportunity. Mario and Luigi luck into this lucrative contract with New York City to maintain the sewers. Because nobody else is going to take the job because people are disappearing because there are evil turtles in the sewers from another world. So Mario and Luigi encounter the Koopa forces in the sewers of New York. And being natural heroes, they fight them off and basically save the city from an accidental invasion. Now, this attracts the attention of the U.S. government. Because there's these big heroes that, the government needs heroes. It needs people who can be, big flashy heroes, and it needs them in the military. So Mario gets drafted. Luigi presumably pays off a doctor to fail his physical and does not get drafted. He dodges it and stays home. But Mario is drafted, and he gets sent directly to the front lines of some jungle conflict. Now, this is 1983, so I can only assume that this is the U.S. invasion of Grenada.
Mario went to war.
Mario went to war.
Part of this.
He was sent out with no training. He just skipped boot camp entirely, because, he's a proven hero. He obviously knows how to fight. They don't need to train him. They need someone on the front lines right the fuck now. And, being a hero, obviously, he can handle the worst squad that we have. So they put him in charge of their most problematic squad. And, Mario is now an infantry grenadier. Mario does not know how to use grenades. He knows how to use a hammer. He knows how to use a wrench, maybe. He does not know how to use grenades.
He does know how to use a whip.
That's right. Yeah, he knows how to use a whip. Those are the weapons that he knows. He does not know firearms. He does not know grenades. So after a number of friendly fire incidents, Mario is very quietly discharged and returned home. The news of this doesn't really get out. The government just wants to cover this up, because it's extremely embarrassing for everyone involved that this happened.
That's why the U.S. doesn't talk about their invasion of Grenada.
So, while Mario was off at war, the sewer contract kind of fell through, because, there's no longer dangers there in the sewers. So, Luigi kind of, especially without Mario to help him out, Luigi can't really maintain the sewers of New York, so he has to get another job. He gets a job on a wrecking crew. Now, while this is going on, Mario's off at war. Donkey Kong hears about this. And, Mario's gone. Hey, that's a great opportunity to go back to New York and, I don't know, conquer something, cause some havoc, some kind of crime. Now, when he gets there, he meets insects.
Insects.
He meets a colony of insects that propose an alliance with him. because these insects are at war. There is a vast, lush garden in the city that they want to live in and take over. But it is guarded by the man they call Stanley the Exterminator. And so they make this agreement with Donkey Kong to help them take out Stanley and take over the garden, and in exchange, presumably he'll get a significant cut of the produce from this garden.
Maybe the real estate itself.
Yeah, that could be, because, like, the garden isn't the only place there. Presumably Stanley has a house attached to the garden, or some other kind of home. Yeah, maybe it's like prime New York real estate. So Donkey Kong agrees to help these insects conquer this garden, which was the biggest mistake of his life. Because Stanley's off kilter. Stanley's
He's a force more than a man.
So Stanley sees the insects have come back, and there's a gorilla. Normally, a normal person who sees a gorilla attacking their garden would run away. Not Stanley. Stanley just pulls out his strongest poisons and just goes to town on Donkey Kong, spraying him with such force that it propels him out of the garden entirely. But getting him out of the garden wasn't enough, because Stanley is a maniac. Stanley chases Donkey Kong not just out of the garden, out of the city, out of the countryside, past the aliens, onto the UFO, and off into space. They leave the planet entirely. And then Stanley is chasing Donkey Kong through space for years. So naturally, Junior becomes head of the family.
Mm-hmm. He gains the title of Donkey Kong.
So that was all happening while Mario was off at war. Now when Mario comes back from war, he's a bit shell-shocked. You know, he's kind of dealt with all of these friendly fire incidents with grenades. That's traumatizing. So he takes some time to himself to relax. He gets work as a tennis referee. Nice, relaxing job. You can just sit there and watch and watch the sport. He takes up golf. You know, he used to love golf, so he takes that up again.
He used to love golf and tennis back when he was a baby.
Yeah, when he was a time-traveling baby. So he's kind of just he's taking it easy and relaxing, coming back home. He goes to a circus to relax, and he sees a gorilla there, and he thinks it's Donkey Kong at first, but it's Junior, who is trying to he was working in a circus trying to make money to somehow find a way to go to space to save his dad again. And you know, they kind of also Mario feels bad about his part in all of the things that have just happened here, and offers to help out, and they have like a celebrity hockey match of, you know, the hero Mario versus the villain Donkey Kong, and that raises an amount of money, but it's not that great. Junior doesn't actually make all that much money with these ridiculous schemes. But Mario's not making much money with all the things he's doing. You know, being a tennis ref doesn't pay very well. He's got to make a living. So he joins Luigi on the Wrecking Crew. Also, on the Wrecking Crew is led by a man named Foreman Spike, who is also a little bit of a maniac. Not as much as Stanley, but he is very angry, especially towards the Mario brothers. He kind of tries to kill them, partially by just hammering walls down onto them, partially by sending his robotic wrenches and eggplant men at them.
Yeah, I never really got that one.
Yeah, Foreman Spike is a bit of a roboticist. I'm pretty sure he's just very angry and resentful of the fact that, you know, he's not taken seriously due to his blue-collar background, so he was never able to make anything of his robotics, and just had to get this job on a wrecking crew. So, he's just kind of lashing out at the Mario brothers. Possibly because they are also, like, these big heroes, and he just hates that they have celebrity when he deserves to have something. I don't know. Point is, at some point during this, Luigi gets chased off the wrecking crew. He decides this is too big, this is too much, he can't hack it, he leaves. Mario does not leave. Mario sticks around, and he's stubborn, and is fighting Foreman Spike at every turn. And this goes for a little while.
About 50 stages.
100, actually.
Oh.
Until Mario gets approached by Toad. So, Toad, the Toad named Toad, who is Princess Peach Toadstool's personal attendant, has fled the Mushroom Kingdom and come to Earth to find the hero who had stopped Bowser's accidental invasion of Earth.
And perhaps defeated Bowser in the past. You know, back when he was a baby.
Yeah, maybe they also heard about the prophecy somewhat. So, Toad finds Mario and Luigi and begs them for help to save the Mushroom Kingdom, which has been conquered by Bowser. So, Mario quits the wrecking crew. He and Luigi go through the sewer pipes, through the warp pipes, to the Mushroom Kingdom. They fight through Bowser's forces. They get to through all of them to the Koopa Kingdom, through or possibly the Mushroom Kingdom castle, a castle, wherever Bowser's holed up. And they defeat him and save the princess and save the kingdom. And reverse the spell, turning all of the Toads back into Toads. Now, through all of this, you know, they're finding all of these gold coins that are laying around the Mushroom World, because, you know, there's all these gold coins laying around the Mushroom World. That's just a natural thing that happens. So,
gold coins naturally happen in the Mushroom World, I guess.
Or at the very least, they get dropped easily. People just drop them everywhere. I don't know. Point is, Mario and Luigi come back to Earth with this huge cache of gold coins, which kind of that added to their existing celebrity status from, you know, having their exploits in the sewers and, you know, all the shit that Mario's done so far. Just, they kind of become celebrities. Like, it kind of blows up. And Mario uses this to his advantage and, like, just starts kind of living a celebrity lifestyle. He goes on a globe-trotting golfing tour to Japan and the UK and all over the place and just playing golf and enjoying himself. He becomes a celebrity boxing referee for, like, this big boxing tournament. Then he starts getting into some thrill-seeking. So, Mario decides he wants to become an F1 racer. Now,
The best
normally,
kind of racer.
What?
The best kind of racer.
Now,
The fastest.
normally, like, you can't just decide to become an F1 racer. You kind of need to train at it and be good at driving and get licensed.
If they don't believe that he actually drove any cars when he was a baby.
So he goes to the league, the gaming commission, and he wants to become a driver, and they're not taking him seriously, but he does have a lot of money, and all this gold. So they humor him. They give him a little go-kart and let him drive on the track in a race. And he wins. Somehow. And then he keeps winning. Somehow.
It's because he was a kart driver back when he was a baby.
This is true. We haven't actually seen that happen
We haven't
yet.
seen that happen
But
yet,
it will happen before too long.
Back when he was a time-traveling baby.
So, eventually, they kick him out of the league because this is embarrassing everyone. But Mario's not done with thrill-seeking, and he's not done with racing, because racing fast is one of the best thrills that he can find. And so are hallucinogens. Mario starts doing rally racing on the roads in and around New York City, and in like the surrounding kind of, I guess, like going through all of New York, through all of the Northeast area. And he's doing this while high, while extremely stoned. And Luigi is there with him, because Luigi is terrified that his brother is going to get himself killed. So Luigi is there to try and, like, curb this behavior and get him to calm down, and or at the very least keep him safe while he's doing this shit. But Mario is on a bad downward spiral. So it's a good thing he has a dream. A very special dream.
Interestingly enough, not well stoned.
Not well stoned, in fact, no. He dreams of Subcon, the Land of Dreams, which is in trouble because it has been taken over by the evil Wart. And, in his dream, he, as well as Luigi and Princess Toadstool and Toad the Toad named Toad, all come together in the dream realm and fight Wart and his gang, the 8-Bits, which are made up of Birdo and her sisters, Mauser, Triclyde, and Fry Guy, and Claw Grip. So they fight the gang, they fight Wart, they defeat him, they save Subcon, and at this point, Mario remembers adventure is the greatest thrill. Through this dream adventure, he decides that this is what he should be doing. So he and Luigi return to the Mushroom World. And the Mushroom World is still in a bit of turmoil because the Mushroom Kingdom was not the only place that Bowser conquered. There are all these other, nearby kingdoms that he took over. So they decide they're going to save all of the kingdoms. So they go through and fight off all of Bowser's lieutenants, the Koopalings, that he'd left in charge of these 7 different kingdoms throughout the Mushroom World. And, they defeat all of them and rescue their kings who had been transformed. And while this is all going on, Bowser kidnaps Peach, and then they go to Bowser's castle and rescue her again, and defeat Bowser, and drop him into a bottomless pit where he presumably dies one more time. See, I think we're up to 3 Bowser deaths at this point. Because I assume that he also died the first time that Mario defeated him. Just, dropping him to lava. So, they've saved the Mushroom World. And the princess is eternally grateful to the Mario Brothers for their service. So, she grants Mario a castle. And, gives him a noble title. He is now a landed noble in the Mushroom Kingdom. Then they get news from somewhat more distant Sarasaland. that they have been conquered by an alien named Tatanga. So Mario goes off there. He's still on this big adventure kick. He goes alone. Luigi decides that he's fine. He doesn't go anywhere. He's had enough adventure. He goes back home and decides to be a plumber again, more. And Luigi manages to renew the plumbing contract, the sewer contract with the city of New York. Presumably with some kind of grift, convincing them that the turtle menace is going to come back at any time, and he needs to protect them, and, you know, hold the line. And
I don't think Luigi is the kind of person to do a grift, but I do think he did tell them about the Mushroom Kingdom, and they got terrified.
Yeah, that does sound more likely. He told them, like, the New York government now knows about the Mushroom Kingdom. They know about the warp pipe system and all the things there.
The only person who knows how these warp pipes even work, and is still on Earth, is Luigi.
That is correct. So, Luigi gains the contract, which he doesn't need to worry about because there are no actual incursions anymore. Bowser's forces are defeated, and they're focused on shit in the Mushroom World anyway. So they're not coming through the warp pipes to New York anymore. Luigi can just sit pretty and relax and have this nice, cushy contract where he doesn't need to do much work, but, you know, he is technically responsible for protecting the city if there are any incursions. So that's what Luigi does after they've saved the Mushroom World, while Mario goes off to Sarasaland to save their Princess Daisy from the alien Tatanga. Which he does.
By the way, aliens are real.
Yeah, there's alien. He spends a bit of time in Sarasaland afterwards. He takes in some local sports, some very unusual local sports. But then he comes back home to find that his castle has been stolen by none other than his childhood tormentor, Wario. So, let's talk more about Wario.
Okay.
We know that Wario always got Mario into trouble as a kid. But we also know that Wario is a fey dream imp. So,
or at least so we discovered.
This is what we have learned through our research.
That's what we're calling this.
Yeah, it's primary source research. So, my take on this is that, Baby Mario is being tormented in his mind, in his dreams, by Wario, and kind of being very young, has trouble distinguishing fantasy from reality sometimes, and starts thinking Wario is real in the real world, and acts out as a result and gets in trouble a lot. Now, at some point, presumably when they moved from the Mushroom Kingdom to Earth, Mario stopped being tormented by Wario. Once they left this world of magic to the mundanity of New York City, Wario could no longer manifest in Mario's mind. And as a result, kind of stopped taking on Mario's appearance and became this bulbous, belching creature called Wart, who took over Subcon and was then eventually defeated by Mario. And this kind of rekindled the connection between them. So, now Wart is starting to become Wario again, and remembering Mario, and he escapes Subcon, and wants to get back at Mario, so steals his castle. Because also he wants a castle. Castles are nice. So Mario returns to his castle. It's been stolen by Wario. It's been locked by this door with 6 coin key slot holes that he has to find and go across the whole little island where his castle is. By the way, this is a terrible island where his castle is. I'm pretty sure the princess gave him the worst castle in the kingdom. There's a bizarre giant mechanical effigy of Mario there for some reason. It's a real weird place. But anyway, he gathers all of this stuff and he gets in the castle and defeats Wario and gets his castle back. Then there's a plague. There's a pandemic in the Mushroom Kingdom. And the princess reaches out to Mario to ask for help. Because the Toads don't want to take their medicine. The Toads don't want to get vaccinated. As we all know, sometimes people don't want to do the things that will help end a pandemic. So Peach reaches out to Mario to help convince the Toads that this is a good thing that they should do. So they decide to do this series of commercials where Dr. Mario tells them to take their pills. And it works. And they do. Mario is not a real doctor, he only plays one on TV.
Right.
So, after, they do this whole ad campaign and go through this whole rigmarole and convince everything in the pandemic, and so Mario and Luigi and Peach decide they need a vacation after all of this. Because Mario's kind of been on non-stop adventure for a while at this point. So, they take a vacation to Dinosaur Land. And that's what we're seeing right now.
So, clearly the vacation worked.
Yeah. So, they went on vacation, and it turns out that Bowser was there on Dinosaur Land. He had actually figured out how to defeat the Yoshis. He magicked them into eggs.
Their natural form.
So, that's how he managed to conquer the Yoshis, get them out of the way and conquer Yoshi's Island and the surrounding dinosaur land. And then, hey, Mario and the princess show up, and so, hey, the princess is there, let's kidnap her. Why not? She's there and she was left alone, so they grab her. And, then Mario goes through and has to fight all of the Koopalings again, and free all of the Yoshis, and also Peach, and wipe out all of the Koopa forces in Dinosaur Land.
Spoiler for the next several videos, this is what happens.
Also, they go to space. They go to the Star Road. They discover there's a connection to the stars in Dinosaur Land, which they don't get much out of yet. But this is like their first introduction to the stars.
Beyond just Starman.
Yeah.
Upgrades. Bonus power. But
So
there was celestial magic in the world beforehand.
yeah. So their previous vacation having been kind of thwarted, they decide to have another vacation. And this time they invite Princess Daisy as well. They all together, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Daisy, go to Earth to take a vacation, where Mario takes everybody on another globe-trotting golf tour. But for some reason, Mario is kind of a jerk on this, and doesn't let the princesses play golf.
Also, he's really bad at it.
Also, he is really bad at it. He's really out of practice. And, so Peach gets very angry because she has a terrible time on this vacation, just watching Mario be bad at golf. So, when the vacation's over and they get back to the kingdom, the Mushroom Kingdom, the princess has to punish Mario. And, so Mario is stripped of his noble title, he is stripped of his land and castle, and he is forced to become the court jester.
Mario the juggler.
So he juggles for the entertainment of the court, when the Yoshis, who have just been, freed again and are now, like, starting to, ally with the Mushroom Kingdom and form, like, official relations with them. The Yoshis come and bring, like, this, strange Yoshi sport game that they invented. Mario is forced to perform it for the entertainment of the court. And at this point, Mario starts to sell out hard.
Probably because without his title, he doesn't have the access to the gold coins anymore.
Yeah, he lost his castle. He doesn't have land. He doesn't have a house in the Mushroom World anymore. So he really starts selling out. He starts selling his likeness and the likenesses of his friends, everybody he knows in the Mushroom World, to various places on Earth for various purposes, to printing companies, to children's coloring books, to typing tutorial software, to graphical software, and all these things. Very big selling out. Until one day, Mario has another weird adventure. Mario and Luigi are just kind of wandering around the Mushroom World. They're just sort of looking for something to do to help Mario regain his status, rebuild his reputation with the princess. Which, I mean, the best way to do that is to find Bowser and stop whatever he's doing, which is probably bad. So they're going along, and there's they see a fortress that Bowser has built somewhere, and then a magic typewriter falls out of the sky.
Oh yeah.
And Mario tries to use it to destroy the fortress, but Mario is such a bad typist that the magic typewriter explodes and is blown into pieces, and then they have to scramble around all over to gather the pieces of the typewriter and put it back together and learn typing along the way. And then they get the typewriter and they type properly and destroy the fort with magic by dropping a big magic block from the sky to crush it. And this does, in fact, for whatever reason, convince the princess to lift Mario's punishment. So he's no longer in disgrace with the kingdom, and he can start rebuilding his life there. And the first thing that he does to start rebuilding his life there is do some racing. So Mario decides to bring go-kart racing to the Mushroom World. So they because Mario loves racing. That's kind of the big thing he loves. That's his thrill. So he brings that idea to the Mushroom World, and they love it. And so the princess puts together the first Mushroom Kingdom Grand Prix race. And even Bowser is allowed to join in on this. Because the princess has kind of an appearance to keep up. She's got kind of a brand where she's the magnanimous ruler of the Mushroom Kingdom, helping to try to reform this oafish brute in the neighboring kingdom. So Bowser joins the Mushroom Kingdom Grand Prix. Also, Junior is there.
Donkey Kong Jr.
Donkey Kong Jr., who has given up the title of the Donkey Kong. He's given it, passed it down to his son now, because he's, at this point, given up on ever finding his father again. He's lost in space forever. He's mourned and he's over it, and now he is he has become a diplomat. He is the official Kong liaison
Yeah.
to the Mushroom Kingdom. So he is also there, and he joins in the race, and they all have a wonderful time racing go-karts.
Except for you, because the physics are kind of weird.
That's. But while they're doing that, Bowser decides, things aren't going so well with conquering the Mushroom World. But there is this other world out there that he knows about now. And he discovers another portal, another path to reach Earth from the Mushroom World through the Arctic. Or was it the Antarctic? South Pole. It was the South Pole.
Mm-hmm.
So Bowser builds a castle in the South Pole on Earth, or possibly on like the crossroads between the worlds that connect there somehow. He builds a castle there, and he decides he's going to start trying to melt the polar ice caps to kind of hold Earth for ransom. Mario and Luigi go there to stop him, of course. Mario gets kidnapped instantly.
And for some reason, Mario is missing.
So, when Mario goes into the castle and doesn't come out, Luigi has to go in and rescue him. And, Luigi's kind of vicious about it. Luigi can get a bit, murderous. Overzealously murderous. When, at least with the Koopas, when his brother's, safety is on the line. So, he fights the Koopalings and goes... They have portals all through this castle that they have built, reaching to locations all across the Earth, where they have also been stealing cultural artifacts from around the world. Including King Kong, which they stole from the Empire State Building. And so Luigi, while doing this, also goes and visits all these places around the world and returns their artifacts to their proper places and becomes globally renowned as a great hero. But possibly Mario gets some of the credit, I don't know. But then Luigi gets up to the top of Bowser's castle after rescuing all the artifacts, and throws Bowser off of the castle into the ice of the Antarctic, where he freezes and shatters and dies again. And he saves Mario, and they go home. Right, during this, Yoshi was also instrumental in helping Luigi. Yoshi walked across the ocean repeatedly from the Antarctic to every area that Luigi was visiting to help him get back. Because all of the return pipes were guarded by Pokies.
We know that Yoshis are capable of traveling very long distances without needing rest.
And also that they don't need to breathe underwater.
This is true. Mario sometimes does.
So, after this, Mario decides to reward Yoshi with lots of cookies.
Yoshi's cookies.
And Yoshi gets a real taste for cookies, which end up becoming the currency of Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
But anyway, while this is going on, the princess has been developing a new weapon. You know, the Mushroom Kingdom's R&D department has developed the Super Scope. A bazooka, an energy cannon that, they give to Mario to test out because they have received a plea for help from nearby Jewelry Land, which has been conquered by Bowser, as so many other kingdoms have.
After he's been resurrected from the Antarctic.
Yes. So, Mario takes the Super Scope astride Yoshi, the Yoshi named Yoshi, and goes to Jewelry Land and just annihilates everything in his way. While he is there, he discovers that the Koopa's kingdom have also been developing new weapons technology. They've been building mechs. All of the... most of the Koopalings are piloting big mech suits that Mario obliterates with the Super Scope, because it's an extremely powerful energy weapon. So, Mario defeats the Koopa forces once again, frees Jewelry Land, saves them, and in the end, in his final fight there with Bowser, Bowser is wearing, like, a personal armored suit, like, powered armor, basically, and, he gets real fucked up. He gets, like, very, very badly injured. Not killed, but very badly injured by this energy cannon blasting him in his armor. After this incident, the Koopa Kingdom and the Mushroom Kingdom sign a treaty agreeing not to use technology. Basically. All this, like, super high-tech stuff, the Super Scope and these mech suits, this is all escalating all the conflict to a level that is become unreasonable. There has been too much pain and death. Possibly all of the Koopalings had to be revived. Maybe, like, the number of Bowser's forces that were killed here was exorbitant. The point is, they basically, they convince Peach to never use the Super Scope again by also agreeing to never use their mech suits again, which for them is not that big of a sacrifice.
Yeah, they have dark magic.
They have dark magic. They also still have airships. Airships are not, like, high technology. They're wood. And powered by magic.
Probably.
So, the technology is set aside. Well, most of the technology, because Bowser still has his time machine.
Right, that thing that he just happened to have.
Yeah, so he built a time machine, and he decided to basically screw with Earth. He sent his forces throughout history, Earth's history, to steal cultural artifacts from around the world through history. And, you know, he was set to destroy Earth's timeline and destroy the history of humanity with this. But Mario shows up, and this is why Mario is a kind of like a cryptid-like figure throughout history who just shows up out of nowhere, returns some missing cultural artifact to some grand historical figure, and then instantly vanishes, never to be seen again until, you know, centuries later, when some other great artifact has been stolen by mysterious turtles. Most Earth historians consider this a hoax, this whole Mario thing in history, but you know, the mushroom people know the truth. So at this point, Wario comes back. You know, he took some time, he got beat up and was still kind of, like, reforming into his own entity outside of the dream world. And at this point now is his own defined, formed entity. And he just starts fucking with them.
He puts a bucket on his head.
Yeah, Mario, Luigi, and Peach and Yoshi all go to the fairy's forest to find the fairy of happiness. And let's see, what was all of this, right? Luigi gets lost, that's right. Luigi gets lost while they're going to find this fairy. And Mario goes off to try and find him, and then Wario drops a bucket on his head from his airplane. Wario has an airplane now. So, then he just, like, follows around Mario, Peach, and Yoshi, dropping buckets on their heads as they run around trying to find Luigi, who keeps getting lost. And eventually, they chase Wario down, and they shoot down his plane and fuck him up.
Yeah, the fairy goes wild.
So, then Wario decides, okay, Wario decides he's had enough just having fun, fucking around. He got beat. It's done. That's enough of that. Now he needs money. Because money. He wants money. So therefore he needs it.
Plane.
Yeah, he's gotta fix his plane that the fairy smashed up. So Wario hears a juicy bit of news, which is that a giant golden statue of Princess Peach, which is a thing that she had made at some point for some reason, because she is extremely vain, was stolen by some pirates. The Brown Sugar Gang. Or the Black Sugar Gang was what they were later called. So they're alternately called the Brown Sugar Pirates and the Black Sugar Gang. Point is, these pirates stole the statue, and so Wario decides he's going to steal it from them so that he can ransom it back to the kingdom, and he can get the money. So, Wario goes to Kitchen Island, their secret hideout base, and just beats up a bunch of pirates. Goes around and steals all of their treasures that they've hidden around the island, and collects all kinds of money, and defeats the pirate queen, Captain Syrup, and also her genie that she has. And so now Wario gets the genie, and he's ready. He's about to steal the statue when Mario comes by in a helicopter and takes the statue himself. And
but that's okay, because Wario has a genie.
Yeah, Wario's got this genie now. So Wario, the genie offers Wario one wish. This is a very cheap genie.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and also, Wario wishes for his own castle, because he wants a castle again. And this is a very cheap genie, so he demands that Wario pay for it. And Wario, using all of this grand treasure that he's found around the island, pays off the genie, who gives him his own planet. So, Wario has a planet now. And this planet has its own inhabitants, its own creatures. So, Wario takes these creatures as his minions and brings them back and decides to get revenge on that fairy that beat him up a bunch. So, he conquers the fairy's woods. I don't know what the princess was doing at the time of this. I don't know what Mario and Luigi were doing at the time of this. But for some reason, the only one available to help with this forest was Toad. Possibly the princess just didn't consider it a very important thing and just sent Toad off to deal with it because it's such a small, insignificant thing.
They were clearly trying to deal with this golden statue, and how do you reinstall a golden statue that was stolen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. Peach was busy having this gold statue reinstalled and possibly unveiled and just admiring it. Mario was busy elsewhere. We'll discuss that in a little bit. But Toad was the one who was available to free the fairies, to go to the forest and free them from Wario and his minions. And so the fairy, what was her name? Wanda. Wanda was the name of the fairy that helped them out this whole time. Gives Toad magic bombs. Toad should never be given bombs because he goes crazy with them. Toad slaughtered all of Wario's minions. He blasted his way through everything, the entire forest, and killed everything in his way, blew up Wario's house, didn't just chase him out of the woods, chased him back to his own castle outside of the woods that he had built, I guess. He got his minions to build himself a castle. But then Toad had it blown up. And the moral of the story is don't fuck with Toad. At least not when he has magic bombs. So while this is going on, Mario was busy with Kong trouble. Because Pauline got kidnapped again by a new Donkey Kong. This is the modern Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr.'s son, grandson of the original Donkey Kong. He wears a tie.
We should refer to them as DK from here on out.
Sure, yeah, DK. So DK, Jr.'s son, has taken on the Donkey Kong title. You know, Junior passed it down to him a while back at this point. So unbeknownst to Mario at this point, original Donkey Kong is back from space. Which, I mean, his family is overjoyed about this. Except, he's not all there. He keeps rambling on about graphics and gameplay, and everyone's very confused and very concerned, especially DK, who idolized his grandfather as, you know, the greatest Donkey Kong, who has, you know, led the family into greatness through his whole reign. And so DK wants to help his grandfather come back mentally. So he decides to recreate one of his grandfather's great exploits, which was to kidnap this woman, Pauline. DK's not very smart. I don't know what this was meant to accomplish, really. But that's what he did. And he didn't just go kidnap this woman. He kind of blew the entire family budget on this whole lengthy scheme. There was a lot of chicanery.
Some mercenaries.
Yeah, he hired a mercenary gunship, he hired pirates, Mario chased him across multiple worlds, chasing down to get Pauline back. Junior got involved and was helping out. It was the whole big thing. And eventually, Mario chases him all the way back to the Kong Isle, and throws him off of the giant tower that he had built with his face on it. Again, massive waste of money. Or massive use of money.
DK has got a big ego on him.
Yeah. And then he eats a huge barrel of super mushrooms, which presumably he also obtained at great expense, and becomes extremely gigantic, and then Mario beats him up and knocks him out, and then they being defeated, he stops and they sit and just talk. And Mario finds out what this is all about, finds out that original Donkey Kong is back. He has now been given the name Cranky Kong, because he is very old. And, he's not all there, so Mario feels bad about his part in everything that happened to Cranky, so he, goes and visits, and they talk, and Cranky kind of comes a little bit back to his senses, but he still rambles on about, gameplay and graphics and stuff. He saw some things. He saw things out there among the cosmos, and now he knows, and he can never unknow. But, so that's that. While that's going on, after Wario loses his house, Wario goes off on another adventure. He needs to go find more treasure. He's lost his castle, he's lost all his minions, he needs another adventure. He falls through a dimensional portal.
Yes, you do?
And winds up in the dimension of Mad Bombers, where he meets Bomberman. And, he steals Bomberman's motorcycle, and a bunch of other stuff, and leaves after blowing up a bunch of things. So now,
a grand time, really.
Now he has a motorcycle. Now, back to the Kongs.
Yeah.
So DK kind of blew the entire family treasury on this whole escapade. And, more than just that, he actually needed to raise additional funds. And one of the things he did was sell off some land on Donkey Kong Island to the Kong family's hated rivals, the Kremlings, where they started building industrial construction, like factories and things. And so now the Kremlings, having a base of operations right there on Donkey Kong Island, decide to steal what little remains of the Kong treasury, their banana hoard. So, one night, specifically the night that DK is inducting his little buddy Diddy into the family. So Diddy is being tasked with guarding the banana hoard as part of his initiation into the Kong crime family. Diddy is not very good at this. He gets beat up and shoved in a barrel, and the Kremlings take the banana hoard. So Donkey Kong, DK, finds Diddy and rescues him, and they together march across the island and go apeshit. And slaughter all of the Kremlings and kick them off the island and beat up their King K. Rool. Cranky is very unhappy about this entire thing, and there's too many colors, and he never would have let them take the bananas. He never would have been on an adventure like this. Back in his day, things were much simpler, and all things that he says. But so they go through and they take back their island, and that's it for the Kongs for now. Meanwhile, Mario comes back after having, dealt with this whole Kong thing. Mario was out dealing with Kongs. Luigi was probably maintaining his plumbing contract. Toad was off dealing with Wario. And during that time, Peach got kidnapped again. And the kingdom got taken over, and Bowser built a bunch of hotels? He's just kind of trying stuff. He's just, like, throwing the ideas at the wall here. Just trying things to see what will work, I guess. He builds hotels. Maybe there was some kind of spell involving hotels that he found. Some obscure spell that he decided to try. I don't know.
Mario tries stand-up comedy during this adventure.
But, Mario and Luigi come back to the kingdom, and they see all these hotels, so they blow them all up. They tear down all these hotels, and they save the princess, and that's another adventure that they had. Then, afterwards, you know, they've got all this rubble now across the kingdom that they kind of have to clean up and deal with. And, you know, Mario decides, you know, there's valuable stuff in here. He decides he wants to be, an archaeologist. He wants to play archaeologist and has some fun just, you know, going through these sites, treating them like an archaeological dig site. And while he's going through there, he finds evidence of his own past. And, you know, his own, childhood there in the mushroom world. That, presumably he was not aware of as an adult. But, so they all kind of collectively learn that Mario is from the Mushroom World originally. He's not just the hero from Earth. So, after this, they kind of have some time to relax. And Mario decides to bring another sport over. Tennis. They have a tennis tournament. And this time, the princess actually enjoys a sport, because she's allowed to play. And they have a tennis tournament. And Junior is there, and a random Koopa Troopa is there, and everyone got a headache because the reality was 3D in a strange way. While they were doing that, DK and Diddy, back on Donkey Kong Island, we're talking to Cranky about, you know, the adventure that they just had. Stopping the Kremlings and gaining the banana horde back. Cranky challenges them. He complains that their previous adventure was so successful entirely because they had fancy graphics and sounds. That wouldn't have been anywhere near as successful if it was, you know, if it was grayscale and lower bits and you didn't have your fancy musics. I want you to do it again without all your fancy graphics, is what Cranky challenges them to do. And they don't know what the hell he's talking about. But they do it. They decide, okay, DK and Diddy go to the Kremlings and say, hey, take our banana horde again. We want to fight you again, but this time with worse graphics or something. And
glitches.
And King K. Rool is just baffled, but says okay, and takes the bananas, and then they go on another adventure, and it's worse somehow in a way that they can't define. But they make it through and they get their banana horde back again, and Cranky still is not happy, because he's Cranky. He's never going to be happy with anything that DK does. So then, now while Mario and everyone was having a tennis tournament, disaster struck because the Clash House Tower was taken over by bad guys.
What?
You know, the Clash House Tower, this famous Mushroom Kingdom location that everyone knows and loves. It was taken over by bad guys. So Mario fought them.
Okay.
It took a while. It was a very tall tower. While this was happening, Wario had another adventure. So, Wario has an adventure. He's off exploring He calls it the Awazon River Basin. I think it might just be the Amazon. It might just be he calls it the Awazon because he likes turning M's into W's. One way or another, there's this jungle that he's in, and he finds an underground civilization ruins place. There's treasure. And he goes and he collects the treasure, and also he has a demon at the end. He gets his own personal demon that can grant him wishes kind of like a genie. It was weird. But Wario got a lot of treasure again, doing this underground adventure. Now, I'm not sure exactly when in the timeline this happens, but around this point, Wario is starting to get involved in business on Earth.
Right.
So he's becoming a successful entrepreneur on Earth. I'm not sure if this is before or after he gets access to this wish-granting demon from underground, but I'm sure that helped afterwards, one way or another.
Probably he saw it as a way to finally get more money in a less painful fashion than needing to wish for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he never wished for money. He only ever wished for things that he had to spend the money on, so far. So that's what Wario was doing this whole time. Now, back with the Kongs, yes. DK gets kidnapped by the Kremlings. Because, you know, they are angry, they're always at war, and, you know, they had just destroyed the Kremlings' holdings on Donkey Kong Island.
Twice, which, I mean, that's kind of a bad rap, because they paid for the privilege of that land and using it for their industrial purposes, and DK wasted all of that money on his ridiculous schemes and shenanigans. So, they're just very angry, so they capture DK. And so Diddy, you know, DK's little buddy, meets up with his girlfriend Dixie, and they go to rescue DK. yes.
So, along the way, we get introduced to a couple of other Kongs in the family.
Yes.
We hadn't previously mentioned Funky Kong, the family tinkerer. He's
Aeronaut, but he's developed into a mechanical excellence.
At this point in the timeline, all we've seen from him is aeronautics. He builds barrel-based aircraft, which is pretty impressive, all considered.
Yeah.
But, let's see, we've also got Candy Kong, who is DK's girlfriend. She runs things? She doesn't really... She's kind of...
Does she run the games in
She
Donkey
runs
Kong
the
Country?
save game in the first one.
Right, back when we needed to save games.
But, like, what she actually does on the island is always kind of vague, at least at this point.
Maybe she's like any good mob boss and is there to be eye candy.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but I don't think DK is much of a forward-thinking feminist at this point.
Really not. He's really bad at a lot of things. His grandfather was a much better Donkey Kong.
Much better, Kong.
Anyway, we've also got Swanky, who is I guess the family scam artist. He's good at Flim Flam. He runs
he probably does all the finances.
Probably a bit of that.
Making him one of the most important members of the...
He seems to me more like the kind of guy who'd be on a street corner running like 3-Card Monte or a shell game.
Oh yeah, but that's just, you know, something he does for fun.
Oh,
it's not his actual job.
Yeah, okay. And then there is also Wrinkly Kong, who is Cranky's wife, DK's grandmother, who is very different from the other Kongs. She is the diplomat. She, at this point that we see, is doing educational outreach to the Kremlings, who are very bad at basic, like, math and reading and such.
I think Junior takes after Wrinkly Kong.
Absolutely, he does. He's, we've mentioned already, Junior is becoming the Kong Island liaison with the Mushroom Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And definitely studies under his mother for, you know, this purpose and learning how to be a good diplomat.
I bet she got a degree.
Oh, definitely. She's very well educated, as we can see. She runs a school. And she's very well regarded, we'll see later. But, so that's the other Kongs that we haven't met previously that we now know about. So anyway, DK got kidnapped, so Diddy and his little girlfriend Dixie go on Kremling genocide. They tear through the Crocodile Isles, the homeland of the Kremlings, and they slaughter everyone in their path. They rescue DK, but that's not good enough for them. They go into the core of the island and blow it up and destroy the entire island?
Well, I guess you gotta teach them a lesson for trying to step to the Kongs, but maybe Diddy's a little... I think
Diddy was going overboard to impress his girlfriend.
That, and maybe to impress Donkey.
Yeah, to impress DK. Definitely, because he kind of failed his initiation into the family at the start. So
yeah,
even though he did have a couple of successful adventures with DK after that, he probably still feels a bit inadequate. So, you know, he's overcompensating with genocide. So that's what the Kongs have been doing. Now back to Mario. We left off, Mario was climbing the Clash House Tower to, you know, beat up all the bad guys who've taken it over.
That definitely exists.
It's a very, very tall tower, though, so by the time he finishes clearing out all the bad guys, he is very tired and he gets sick. So he is ill, he's resting in his house, which, his new house, since he no longer has a castle, but he now, like, has the reputation back with the Mushroom Kingdom to have his own land again.
Yeah.
He's got a little house, like, on the border between the Mushroom Kingdom and the Koopa Kingdom.
Yeah.
Where, like, it's like right across just a ravine, and there's Bowser's Castle. Pretty much right there.
And it's sort of on the outskirts of Toad Town.
Yeah. So, Mario is sick. He's resting in his little house here. Peach comes to, you know, visit him while he's sick. I guess tend to him, help him feel better.
Go on a picnic.
And Bowser comes and kidnaps her immediately, because of course he does. So, Mario then gets out of his bed, he's still very sick, and he goes to Bowser's castle to rescue the princess, and that's when a sword falls from the sky. And, things go really wacky from there. They eventually find, let's see, he meets up with a bunch of other weirdos, this weird marshmallow cloud kid who claims he's a frog, and...
He's actually from Nimbus Land.
And then there's this star spirit inhabiting a doll that he meets, who he learns a lot from.
Yeah, we learn a lot about stars from that.
Yeah, so this is where Mario and the rest of us learn about the mechanics of the stars and wishing. So the Star Road is a place that exists in the heavens. We've vaguely seen parts of it, kinda. And among the Star Road live the star spirits who grant wishes, you know, when you wish upon a star. And the Star Road gets shattered by this giant sword that was sent by Smithy, is the only name that we get from this strange thing from some other dimension or something?
The Smithy Gang seems to be an interdimensional army.
Yeah, and they came and they destroyed the Star Road so that nobody can have their wishes granted. And this is a problem for he calls himself Gino. That's the name of the doll that he inhabits. His actual name is unpronounceable to humans, but it's he's there inhabiting this doll because he needs to repair the Star Road. He's collecting the 7 pieces of the Star Road that had fallen from the sky after it was shattered.
Yeah, Mario's on the road to help them, and they do that.
Yeah, and they'd already, like, collected one of those at some earlier. He did not really knowing what it was, but he meets up with Gino, and they start going to, like, actually save the stars. So that's kind of an additional adventure that he has to deal with on top of rescuing the princess, which he still hasn't quite done. But he goes around, he's saving these star spirits, he's defeating the Smithy gang. He meets up with Bowser, who has been having some troubles of his own. He's trying to take his castle back, but his armies have kind of gotten scattered and split up, and he's having some real trouble fighting against the Smithy gang and their interdimensional, seemingly endless army of weapons. Living weapons. That's all the Smithy gang is, living weapons, it seems. So, Bowser offers to have Mario join the Koopa Troop. He's joining up with Mario, but he's got a save face. So, Bowser is involved because he's going to get help with getting his castle back and getting his kingdom back. They find the Princess Peach was taken by this weirdo named Booster.
Who's definitely not Wario.
Who is definitely not Wario. Not at all. Not even slightly.
Completely different person.
So, they rescue, kind of, Peach from Booster, who is going to marry her. He's a very confused individual. Mm-hmm. But they get the princess back and bring her back, and then, after informing her of all the Star Spirit nonsense, she continues joining up with them to save the world and the concept of wishes. So they're all partied together, and they finish collecting all the star pieces and return to Bowser's castle and take it back from the giant sword, which becomes a portal to Smithy's dimension. And they use that to go, and they beat up Smithy, who was apparently wanted to end wishes because he wants a world of weapons. And who needs wishes when you have weapons? It was a very weird philosophical stance.
Maybe.
Or maybe it was like kind of a backwards thing of who needs weapons when you have wishes, so he's got to get rid of wishes so everybody wants weapons.
Possibly, there might be some context we're missing from the celestial realm.
Yeah, there may be like an interdimensional cultural rift there that we're missing something about what this means. But the point is, he wanted weapons instead of wishes, and that's why he destroyed the Star Road. So the whole party beats the crap out of him. They kick him back. They destroy the portal to his dimension, and they've sealed it off, and Smithy is no longer a problem. And the Star Road is repaired, and Gino returns to the stars. And
Bowser's castle is repaired as well.
Yeah, Bowser's castle is also... Well, afterwards, Bowser has his castle, and he needs to repair it. He's repairing it. He's also rebuilding it and kind of moving it, because he can just move his castle. He can put it on... he can make it fly, because he's, Koopa
magic.
Kingdom magic. So they fly the castle out to somewhere a bit more remote, I guess. And in this process, also, Princess Peach decides that, during this whole thing, Toad Town got attacked. The town outside Mushroom Kingdom Castle was attacked by Smithy's gang, and the Toads all got, had a big panic. And so Peach decides that, she's going to move the castle to a more remote place, build a new castle elsewhere to, protect the Toads from any further attacks, so the town doesn't get attacked when the castle does. So Mario is well and truly exhausted now, having gone on a complete double adventure while sick across dimensions.
We know he's sick because he didn't say anything.
And also he was like barely able to jump at the start of this adventure. He
had to learn how to jump again, yeah.
Yeah, he had to build his strength back up. But at the end, he's like completely exhausted, and he just wants to sleep. And the problem with that is that Subcon gets attacked again. So in Subcon, the king of Subcon, after they had been rescued by Mario the first time, built all of these golden statues of Mario around Subcon in celebration of him. And Wario uses his wish-granting demon to regain his wart form and return to the World of Dreams to steal these golden statues. Because they're gold. So, while Mario is sleeping and trying to rest, he gets pulled into another Subcon adventure. Along with Luigi and Peach and Toad, like the first time. They all have to fight Wart again and save the Subcon and defeat the whole gang in there again. And
it's a whole thing. With voiceover.
Yeah. And that's right, I'd forgotten to mention that while at some point previously, Birdo escaped from Subcon as well. We'd seen Birdo a couple of times. Birdo was, like, scouting for Wario back when he took over the Peaceful Woods.
Yeah.
Birdo was randomly, like, traveling the world in, while Mario was off on this Star Road adventure. She was just kind of resting in the clouds in an egg, which was odd. But yeah, Birdo can apparently at this point just travel between Subcon and the real world seamlessly with no trouble. So they rescue Subcon again, and Mario has to take a very, very long time to actually rest and relax and recover from this point. While this is going on, Peach is building the new castle, or having the new castle built, rather, but also sending out Mushroom Kingdom scientists and explorers to the stars. Because now they know the stars are, you know, there's this whole big wish-granting system among the stars. That's something that they want to get in on, that they want to tap into. So they send people out to the stars where they meet the star spirits and are able to forge an alliance. And with this kind of convince the stars that Bowser is bad, and that Peach is good and the Mushroom Kingdom are the good ones, and that they should always only ally with them and not deal with Bowser. Even though Bowser was involved in helping them save the Star Road, but Peach is very good at propaganda.
I guess so.
So, they ally with the stars, and through this alliance, they obtain a large quantity of power stars, which are, you know, powerful celestial artifacts that can be used for powerful magics. So, they're studying the power stars and use them to build up a defense of the new castle, which they have now finished building. And so Mario is invited to the new castle to celebrate, that it's done being built and celebrate the new alliance with the stars. And so when he's finally recovered, he goes to the castle, and it's been taken over by Bowser.
Naturally.
Because they're really, really bad at defense in the Mushroom Kingdom. So Bowser took all of the power stars and used them to create magical painted worlds, which is a technology that existed ages ago, that I'm not sure if, like, the Koopa Kingdom already had it, that they weren't able to use it again because they didn't have enough magical power.
Or celestial.
Or what, but the point is that now he's used the stars to create these painted worlds, where he has then hidden the stars so that they can be, kept safe by his minions in these painted worlds. Didn't work out too well for him. Mario entered the paintings and went through these worlds and collected all the stars again, and then beat up Bowser and saved the castle, and everything there was fine again.
As he does. But we also found a black hole underneath the castle.
Yeah, so there were a number of weird things that we saw within this new castle. There was a black hole in a worksite underneath that perhaps some kind of source of power again? There was something under there that Bowser wanted. We'll find out later. We don't know what it was. Presumably something that would help with magics later. But something underneath the castle. Also, Bowser built a submarine port directly connected to the moat. Which, kind of odd.
Shouldn't be able to do, but he did.
Yeah, it's magic. Power stars, something. Anyway, they've saved the castle. They've saved Peach. Bowser's been defeated again. And then Peach wants another vacation. She wants to go back to Earth on vacation. She's had a rough time. She's had a couple of adventures. Bowser's been involved. She wants to rest. So she gets help from Mario. Because she doesn't have... I guess for some reason she doesn't have, like, active funding for a vacation. Maybe her minister is being kind of... the chancellor is perhaps being a bit stingy with the treasury.
She did just build an entire new castle.
Yeah. We also... the chancellor that we saw earlier... did we see him again? We kind of see him again. I think that was actually the same chancellor in Paper Mario later. That was what we saw, yeah. Never mind. But, so she had just built this whole new castle. She doesn't have a lot of funds for a vacation. So she gets Mario to help her embezzle research funds under the guise of doing an archaeological study on Earth.
Right.
So Mario goes to Earth with Peach and pretends to be an archaeologist, going around to various dig sites and basically making shit up about what he finds there. He sets back the Mushroom Kingdom's understanding of Earth history decades, easily, with all of his fake archaeology and shit that he just makes up to bring back. Meanwhile, Wario is doing actual archaeology and exploring Earth, and also enjoying his art galleries, because he is so successful on Earth that he has multiple personal art galleries, and he's, building up the contents of them throughout this. So, Wario is being legit on Earth here.
Strangely.
So, back with the Kongs.
Right.
After wiping out the Kremlings, basically, destroying their home, DK and Diddy decide that they want to go exploring now. They want to explore the Northern Kremisphere. It's the Northern Hemisphere of the Mushroom World. They call it that because it's been traditionally Kremling territory. So they explore this area because now they're kind of free to do so. And so they kind of get in a habit. Every day they go out exploring and then they come back and rest on the beach. One day they don't come back. After a few days of them not being back, Dixie finally decides she should probably go and find out what happened and bring them back. And
I'm sure the rest of the family was just hoping that they disappeared.
Yeah, but I mean, Dixie actually cares about Diddy somewhat.
Yeah.
They are, going out, and so she goes out to find them. And along the way, Funky foists off his cousin Kitty, who is a toddler, onto Dixie, because, someone needs to look after him. And also, you gotta send him on an adventure. It's never too early to start getting involved in family business, And, this is important family business, rescuing the head of the family from some unknown thing. So, Dixie and Kitty go through the whole Northern Kremisphere. They eventually find that... What was it? They find that King K. Rool is back here. He has returned to his ancestral barony. And he's the one who naturally kidnapped DK and Diddy. He stuffed them in a robot. And so after this whole big journey exploring things, they rescue DK and Diddy. They destroy this robot and get them back out.
They chase him into the Lost World.
Yes, they chase him off. He retreats to the Lost World, which they eventually find and continue chasing him because, you can't just let him get away with this. So, they go and they beat him up some more, and he escapes some more and runs off, and then they can't find him. So they go into the sky, and that's where they find the Banana Queen, who is behind a barrier that King K. Rool had erected and sealed her away. And so they rescue all of the banana birds to break the barrier and rescue the Banana Queen to defeat K. Rool, to track him down and defeat them.
K. Rool hasn't ever really used magic before, so I suspect some foul play.
Yeah, this, K. Rool has shown in this adventure, clearly, he is a man of science. So, this whole magic thing is a bit weird. It could just be the Banana Queen was making stuff up.
Now, I'm not saying Bowser's involved, but he could be.
He could, in fact, be. Perhaps this was his first incursion, trying to kind of reach a hand into Kong territories, see, what would happen if we sealed away this Banana Queen.
Maybe he was trying to help the Kremlings.
Maybe they were getting started on working out an alliance of some sort. But one way or another, this Banana Queen got sealed away and blamed King K. Rool for it. And so they freed all of the captive banana birds around the area to break the seal, and she gets out. And they find King K. Rool using their hovercraft. Because, this whole adventure, they've been using a hovercraft that Funky made for them to roam around this very,
Right.
like, it is
The
kind of
Chromosphere.
islands. It's a whole big area around, like, a big lake area that they've been going around with this hovercraft. And they find that King K. Rool had stolen it and was using it in his desperate attempt to get away. So the Banana Queen drops an egg on him and declares that he is gone forever. This is not
Declares
true.
this.
But, immediately afterwards, they find along the way to Funky's, workshop, where the hovercraft had been left, was Wrinkly, who had retired. She was just retired, relaxing in her own home. They find her dead. King K. Rool, whether intentionally or accidentally, killed Wrinkly Kong on the way to stealing this hovercraft. And that's bad. That's a problem. The Kong family gets a bit badly shaken up by this. Which is when the second Mushroom Kingdom Grand Prix race happens.
Right.
So, various individuals and nations are asked to design courses for this race, and, let's see, Mario and Luigi make kind of basic racetracks. Peach has a racetrack built immediately outside her castle. Let's see, the Kong family, not really thinking straight, I assume, from their grief and whatnot.
It may have been built ahead of time.
It may have been, but their racetrack was basically like right along one of the river smuggling routes, which it seems kind of dangerous to have a lot of people having a lot of eyes on their smuggling route, but I guess it didn't really cause any problems for them. There's a racetrack among the stars that they, the stars are kind of getting involved in their alliance and things. And Wario also has his own stadium. This was a stadium that he just had built on his own, because, he likes building stadiums and things. He builds things and owns them.
Builds infrastructure.
And he weasels his way onto the Mushroom Kingdom Gaming Commission and into the Grand Prix race in general by giving them a good deal on using his stadium for cheap for the races, and just kind of becomes the head of the commission in the shadows. So that's a whole thing going on. Now, around this time, Princess Peach calls a diplomatic summit to discuss the wartime atrocities of the Kong family. So, Junior is there to answer for them, and they've invited other dignitaries, Yoshis and Toads from around the kingdom, to, discuss what is to be done about the Kongs. So, on the way to this diplomatic summit, Yoshi, the Yoshi named Yoshi, who is the representative of Yoshi's Island for all foreign affairs with the Mushroom Kingdom, discovers sabotaged manholes and tries to stop people from falling in them. He doesn't do a very good job of it.
No.
And, among the people who fall in the sewers is Mario, who needs to run back home and get a change of clothes before going to this important diplomatic summit.
He's gotta have his best overalls.
So Mario and Yoshi arrive late to the summit, and as they're arriving, the castle gets firebombed. That Bowser has sent out bombs to destroy the castle. And, well, Mario, having been waylaid by these sabotaged manholes, wound up not being able to stop it. So, Junior is instrumental in helping people get out of the building safely. He continually runs back in and helps people get out of the...
Rescuing as many Toads as possible.
Yeah. And this act saves the Kong family reputation internationally. So it kind of papers over any their whole war crimes that they've done.
Yeah,
and
genocide. Junior's really good at his job.
He is a very personable. He's very likable. He's just a nice guy. He is nothing like the rest of his family.
Honestly, should be leading the family. Don't know why DK is.
It's because he's such a nice guy. He doesn't want to be a criminal. He doesn't want to do crimes. So he's not going to be good at running the family, because he's not good at running crimes. But anyway, the castle burns to the ground. Everyone gets out safely, but the castle is completely destroyed. So, the princess's coffers are completely empty at this point. She just built this castle. Yeah. She just spent a bunch of money that she couldn't afford on a vacation to Earth. So, they need to go and collect more funding for building a new castle, for rebuilding this castle. So they go and Mario and Peach run off to the ocean to steal treasure from an octopus. Because octopi are the dragons of the Mushroom Kingdom, and they have giant gold hoards.
Sure.
So, while they are off stealing treasure from an octopus, Bowser comes to the ruins of the castle and finishes razing them to the ground completely. Mario gets back during this and tries to stop him, but isn't able to. The castle ruins are completely 100% burnt out, razed to the ground. He gets access to whatever it was underneath the castle. But, this castle's gone. So, afterwards, there's a lot of fundraising efforts that the kingdom has to do. One of them is a dirt bike race, because, races are a very successful thing among the Mushroom Kingdom so far.
Popular now, yeah.
And so Peach holds this race, offering a kiss from her as the prize to entice people into joining, so that she can get more money to raise funds for this castle. Mm-hmm. And the Yoshis agree to hold the race on their island, so that she doesn't have to worry about the expense of building the dirt bike tracks and such. So, Bowser is not involved here. He was not invited, but there are a number of Koopas involved in this race. And I think this is when we're finding Koopas are beginning to emigrate to the Mushroom Kingdom. As they're starting to hear things about the Power Stars and their wish-granting properties, and how things are so much better in the Mushroom Kingdom, because, they're very good at propaganda in the Mushroom Kingdom. So, there's Koopas are starting to emigrate to the Mushroom Kingdom and become citizens, I will say in quotes, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. But, there's a number of more fundraising activities that happen. There's a parachuting event that they hold, having people parachute out of an airship that I guess they must have stolen from Bowser, one of the ships that they'd taken control of back when they took back all of the Mushroom World from Bowser's forces. That people are parachuting out of it, but this was a poorly planned event, and they're falling into a lake with a giant Cheep Cheep, and Mario has to frantically rescue them from falling in and being eaten. And it doesn't go over too well. They don't raise a lot of money doing this. And that's when the Yoshi mating season happens. So they're meeting at the castle. Mario, Luigi, and Peach are in the castle, meeting to discuss additional fundraising possibilities, when an angry running Yoshi shows up and demands meat. And
Cooked meat.
knowing that how terrifying Yoshis are, they cook this Yoshi meat.
As much as they can.
They screw up a couple of times because they're being rushed, they're being panicked, and eventually Peach just gets so upset about meat falling on the ground in her lovely kitchen, which, presumably this is back in her first castle, the one from, the Star Road adventure that she'd had. She eventually gets so angry that she just chases off this Yoshi. She overcomes her fear with rage and beats this Yoshi back with her frying pan.
But that's not the end of the mating season.
Oh no, there's a lot of other things going on with the Yoshis. Some other mating strategies that they have are laying eggs outside, but then they have to protect them from various thieves and other predators. Because I guess Yoshi eggs are extremely delicious. I can only assume, given how many things try to steal them and eat them. Boos, fly guys, what else was involved? There were a bunch of things. Sidebar will probably say what other kind of things were
They're
going
also
after these
known
eggs.
as a powerful weapon, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Also, Yoshi eggs can apparently hatch into things that are not Yoshis. Like cookies and power stars? So, Yoshis can... That's right, we also saw this earlier. Yoshis can just kind of produce matter.
Yeah.
In configurations other than eggs, we have seen now. We saw Yoshi, the Yoshi named Yoshi, could eat oil and spit out blocks.
It's very weird.
But, so there's lots of stuff going on with the Yoshi mating season. Now, meanwhile, DK is angry because he was not invited to the dirt bike races. Also, he is still grieving over his grandmother. So that kind of enhances his anger. So he decides to kidnap the princess. Because that's just what you do when you're an angry gorilla. So Mario comes and has to beat him up some, and that kind of distracts them from fundraising. Also, there's some juggling happening. For some reason, a bunch of different people are juggling all at roughly the same time in various places. Mario is juggling for people's amusement. There's a Yoshi juggling eggs to keep them safe from bob-ombs. Wario is juggling some gooms on a random adventure that he's doing.
Juggling.
Bowser is juggling some of his subordinates, presumably to punish them for some failure. Or maybe just for fun. Maybe they enjoy it. I don't know.
Sometimes juggling just happens.
Sometimes juggling happens. So, then, now, it's the time for Wrinkly Kong's funeral. And they get people from all over. Family, friends from far distant places. Because Wrinkly is very well loved across worlds, across dimensions.
Possibly.
They get visited. Among their various guests are the Tiger family. And this is important because Diddy Kong gets a letter from Timber Tiger, who had been left back home while his parents came to this funeral to guard their island. He failed because he's a child. This is why you don't leave children to guard things. So, Diddy,
in a banana horde.
Diddy, not being particularly keen on attending a funeral for someone he's not related to, he's a teenager, he's kind of callous about these sorts of things. So he decides to run off on this adventure to help save Timber's Island from the wizard pig who took it over because he wanted the racetracks. Because this island had a lot of racetracks, and this wizard pig likes racing, and it was a very strange adventure.
Yeah.
With a lot of cross-dimensional involvement. There were a lot of things from other dimensions. There was a bear, and a turtle,
Conker was there.
a squirrel, yeah. There was all sorts of stuff.
Genie.
There was a single Kremling who befriended them and joined their races. It was very weird.
There's a Triceratops involved.
Anyway, Diddy helps save this this strange interdimensional island. And the funeral goes off, and they have their grieving. Now, back to the fundraising efforts. Mario, Peach, and Toad go to Earth to give a tell-all interview about their various adventures in the Mushroom World. Because on Earth, they don't really know much about the Mushroom World yet. Like, there's some vague awareness that there's this place that Mario has claimed to go to, that's where he got all of these gold coins that one time. Yeah, this place that he goes to, and this is where he said that the monsters in the sewers came from, and so that's literally the only awareness that people on Earth had of the Mushroom World. But so there's various people on Earth who would pay a lot of money to hear everything about it. So they give an exclusive interview about all of their adventures in the Mushroom World and saving it from Bowser, and spreading their propaganda about how the Koopa Kingdom is bad and the Mushroom Kingdom is good. And, everybody on Earth hears all of this stuff. It's starting to spread. And among the people who hear about Mario's adventures and the Mushroom World are Mario's old boss, Foreman Spike. So Spike is still very bitter about Mario. He still hates Mario. Mario just kind of left in the middle of the job. They were having this absurd rivalry where he's kind of trying to kill Mario. And then Mario runs off and goes to this other world, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on, and he couldn't find Mario, he couldn't chase him down. But now he finds out about the Mushroom World, he learns about the connection through the sewers, and he learns about Mario's other enemies there, Bowser. So he goes to the Mushroom World, he sneaks in, and finds Bowser and meets with him. And he has this weird scheme where he convinces Bowser to build a bunch of... He calls them bases? They're basically like big, tall apartment buildings. Like, he's kind of convincing Bowser, hey, you should build housing. You build housing for your people. And hey, here's the spot for it, right here, in this exact spot. And he doesn't tell Bowser this, but it's the spot that is going to cast a shadow directly on Mario's house and kill his flowers. Because Spike is extremely petty.
Petty and, like...
Weird. So, Mario comes back from Earth. They kind of also had a vacation there while they were there on Earth. Why not? Giving this interview. He comes back to find all of these buildings, these extremely tall buildings, casting long shadows on his property, and, ruining his flower bed. The only response to this is, of course, to grab his sledgehammer and destroy all these buildings. Mario is also kind of petty. So, Mario goes through and destroys all of this new housing that was supposed to go to the Koopa people. And, he goes through and he beats up Bowser, and also there was a ghost, and an alien Dogu, and there was a rice ball that exploded?
Yeah.
There was a lot of weird things building these places. But after Mario destroys all of the buildings, Bowser finds out that this whole thing was a scheme that Spike hatched up to get at Mario. That, he tricked Bowser into funding this stupid, really, really stupid revenge scheme. So Bowser is chasing Spike off into the sunset, trying to roast him alive. Spike eventually flees to the Mushroom Kingdom for sanctuary. He gets away from Bowser with his life, barely. And he approaches the Mushroom Kingdom for sanctuary. And they give it to him by sending him into Painted Worlds. And we'll discuss that in a little bit. So while all this is happening, all this interview and buildings and such, Wario has a castle again. He's been such a successful businessman that he's built his own castle, he's got all his treasures again, and he gets robbed by pirates. Specifically, the pirates that he had robbed previously. when he was trying to steal that giant statue of Peach.
That turnabout is fair play.
So, the pirates steal his castle, they steal his treasures, and, this happens several times in a row, actually. They take his stuff, and he chases them down and beats them up, and they go to different places trying to run away from him, but they can never escape Wario, not even in a dream world. So, Wario defeats them and steals all of their new treasures that they had, and becomes even more wealthy in the process. So afterwards, Mario throws a party. And it's not much of a party. Everyone's just kind of hanging around outside.
They have an argument about who is a superstar.
Yeah, who is the greatest superstar? I don't know who brought this up first. I don't remember. But it just kind of came about. Someone somewhere in this group mentions superstar, and they all start arguing about who is the greatest superstar. So the people in this party are Mario, Luigi, Peach, Wario, Yoshi, and DK. So in this whole argument, Toad comes and interrupts it, and proposes that they have a contest to see, who is the greatest superstar. And proposes, go out and find things that we can use Power Stars for. Problems that we can use the Power Stars to fix. And then we'll go there and we'll have a little contest to see who can collect the most Power Stars by buying them from Toad. And, that will be the superstars. Whoever gets the most Power Stars who can, solve these problems around the kingdom. So they agree, and they all are extraordinarily selfish with the things that they find. Mario finds a castle in the sky and uses the Power Stars to make it prettier with a rainbow. Luigi finds an airship and uses the Power Stars to restart its engine. Luigi really likes aircraft, and in particular hot air balloons, we discover. Princess Peach uses the Power Stars to decorate her enormous birthday cake.
Like, the funny thing about that is, she had the cake.
She had the cake! It was already there! She just used the Power Stars to make additional decorations for it.
It's really...
She loves these giant vanity projects. Like a giant golden statue of herself. Let's see. Wario used the Power Stars to end a war between the two factions of Bob-Ombs? Which seems altruistic at its surface, but he was probably, selling arms to both sides in war profiteering, and he needed them to stop fighting so that they could have money again to buy more weapons later. Let's see, DK uses the Power Stars to open an ancient Kong family treasure that had been locked away, golden bananas. And Yoshi, the only kind, genuinely nice person among them, used the Power Stars to rescue a Yoshi who is trapped on an island surrounded by whirlpools. So through all of this, Bowser is getting involved because he finds out that they're having a party and they didn't invite him, and also they're doing stuff with the Power Stars, so he comes by and just starts messing with them, screwing around with them, and also quietly, finding out where the Power Stars are. Because, they're collecting these Power Stars, they need to go put them somewhere afterwards, and he finds out that they're storing them in the Mushroom Bank in the little Toad village there. And so Bowser goes and breaks into this bank and steals all their stars. And he flees to a giant volcano fortress to like be... Or no. He was in the... That's right. First, they decide to... All of the partygoers decide to get back at Bowser for, messing with their party by chasing him down to his giant volcano fortress and beating him up. Then he breaks into the bank and steals the stars while they're off celebrating their victory.
And then they go to space?
Yeah, he creates a... there's a giant power star in space that is shattered, that he is building some kind of technology around? He's trying to, rebuild it somehow? I really just like to face it, honestly. He's just screwing around with it.
Probably trying to harness celestial magics.
But, he also creates a bunch of little minions for himself that he calls Baby Bowsers.
Uh-huh.
That, and so he's up in space with these Baby Bowsers, and so everybody chases him off back to space, and they beat him up and take the stars back and launch him into space. And he's floating through space for a while. Now, yeah, now, after this, a couple of things happen. So, first of all, the Yoshi mating season comes around again, or perhaps there are 2 Yoshi mating seasons, or something. Point is, there are mating Yoshis, and they're causing problems again. One of them locks Mario in a giant stone oven area and forces him to bake cookies to feed him. And Mario keeps trying to poison him with, overly burnt cookies and bombs, and it's not really working for a while. Eventually, the Yoshi does finally go off and stop bothering him. I guess maybe the mating season ended. There's also another Yoshi just trying to grow powerful flowers, but the evil god blood flowers of Yoshi's Island won't allow it. So they summon Shy Guys to destroy the garden? That was a weird thing that happened.
A lot of weird things happen in Game & Watch Gallery.
One of the slightly less weird things that happens. So, this whole party idea, Toad had been basically profiting off of it. Because he was selling the Power Stars in this contest. That's how people were collecting them. And so he was making a lot of money off of it. But also, it was, a lot of his fault that Bowser was able to take the Power Stars and cause them all these problems, and so Toad has to be punished. And he's punished to trial by blood sport. He is forced to jump across birds between 2 towers of the castle and deliver Peach an endless stream of presents across these birds, jumping precariously over the clouds. And eventually he falls and is very badly injured. And that's the end of his punishment. So, after Toad's trial, let's see. Mario, during this whole thing, Wario decided to make some more money by selling cakes to all the people watching this horrible punishment blood sport. And Bowser comes back from space, very angry, very upset. He just decides he's gonna wreck the first thing that he sees, which happens to be Wario's cake factory. And so Wario runs to Mario and Luigi and is like, "Hey, Bowser's wrecking my factory. You should go stop him." Or, he probably doesn't tell them that it's his factory. He's like, "Bowser's wrecking this cake factory, this Mushroom Kingdom cake factory. You should stop him." And so they do. And Wario makes a lot of money and has a lot of cakes.
So many cakes.
Then Mario gets invited to the Kong Islands because the Kongs are starting to build up militaristically. things are getting a bit tense there following the death of their diplomat and the voice of reason. Especially at the hands of their nemesis, their greatest enemies, the Kremlings. So, they're starting to build up their military. They're starting to do a lot of more training. And they get Mario over because they're also worried about Bowser. They don't know if... They're worried that Bowser is going to try and attack them as well at some point. So they get advice from Mario about, how do you fight Bowser's forces? How do you deal with them? And Mario shows them the ropes and helps them set up this whole training course that they use. Now, let's see. So then Mario comes back home, and this, after the party, things kind of calm down for a bit. So Mario decides to, he keeps a Power Star for, like, a memento, just to keep around with him. He's given a Power Star. And, this is when the kingdom starts getting into making their own painted worlds. Because, they saw how to do it from Bowser using the stars to create these painted worlds, and decide, this seems like a great thing. We can just make a world. We can just make a world for whatever we want. And so they do make some worlds for whatever we want. And whatever they want is sports. Mario makes an entire world dedicated to golf, where he is known as the world's greatest golfer.
It's a thing that happened.
And they're not very good at making these painted worlds, because things kind of leak over into their world. Some of the denizens of this painted world manage to escape into their world and play golf, because that's all they care about. But, yes, they also happen to have this very big golf tournament in the Mushroom World. Golf gets brought back. That's probably what, like, prompts Mario to make this golf world, is that golf is coming back to the Mushroom Kingdom, coming in like, very big, becoming a big thing that everyone loves. And this... We've figured this is probably Wario running the Gaming Commission, trying to find new sports to bring over to make more money. And, I mean, golf is obviously the first sport he's going to bring. It's the first sport that he knows. That's what he plays with all of his businessmen associates on Earth.
Yeah.
So, golf is coming to the kingdom. Mario creates this golf world. Some of the people of the golf world escape. They all compete in golf times. Also, Baby Mario is there, time-traveling Baby Mario. And there's things happening. So, this golf world starts to have some problems, because after some people escape from it and, like, get a taste of actual reality, they kind of break their programming, I guess, of the world, and they start gaining the ability to grow and change, rather than remaining perfectly static golf competitors that Mario can beat whenever he feels like it. And so the four competitors who escaped the golf world start to become champions of their world. And they kind of start, like, conquering all of the other golfers, and even conquer the fake Mario simulacrum that had been left there. There was, like, a fake Sky Cloud world that had all these fake Mushroom Kingdom people in it, where fake Mario lived, and that was the fake Mario that was the world's greatest golfer, but he gets defeated, and so he's no longer the world's greatest golfer, which causes the dimension to start cracking up a bit. We'll talk about that a little more later. So, back to the Kongs. They're doing a lot of militaristic build-up. Also, Cranky is kind of losing it. He is completely distraught over the loss of his wife, and he turns to mad science, trying to bring her back. And succeeds, kind of. He is able to trap her spirit into a variety of doors? So now Wrinkly's ghost is just kind of hanging out in these doors and just giving advice to the family. Because that's just what she does. And around this time is also when King K. Rool comes back with a big island fortress with a giant cannon, and the cannon takes a lot of time to charge up, so he distracts the Kongs by stealing their banana horde, again, all of their golden bananas. That's right. I missed a step there. After DK got this ancient Kong treasure, this golden banana that he used the power stars to unlock back in Mario's party, he decides he really likes golden bananas, and he wants more golden bananas. And so the Kongs meet with the Yoshis to make a trade agreement. Because the Yoshis have their super happy tree, which can grow any fruit, including golden bananas. So the Yoshis trade the Kongs a lot of golden bananas, and in exchange, the Kongs provided the labor to build a golf course on Yoshi's Island, and probably also a tennis court later. So that's that. So now that the Kongs have this whole horde of golden bananas, which gets stolen by King K. Rool in an effort to distract them, and also a bunch of the Kong family gets kidnapped. DK evades kidnapping because he gets warned by Squawks, one of the family friends in quotes. They're kind of servants. But, so DK goes off and rescues the other Kongs that were captured. There was Diddy, there was Tiny, who is Dixie's little sister. There was Chunky, who was Kitty's older brother. And Lanky, who we need to talk a bit about. So, there's a type of... So there are, among the Kong family, there are some traitors. Some who have, turned against the family and left and they are exiled. And the family calls them Mankeys. Mankey Kong is the name applied to these traitors. And as they're building up militaristically, the family offers amnesty to the Mankeys. Any Mankey that wants to return to the family can, if they are willing to help fight the Kremlings. And one of them does, and he takes on the name Lanky, because he's got very long arms. And so there's now this formerly exiled orangutan has rejoined the Kong family. And we see here some of the other effects that Wrinkly's death has had on the family. Specifically, and most importantly, Funky. Funky Kong is no longer the happy-go-lucky surfer dude, irreverent tinkerer building his aircraft out of barrels. He becomes a complete gun nut. He is building guns, and he's building designs for tanks, and he is just all out, 100% military now. He just wants to kill the Kremlings for what they have done. Also, Candy runs a music shop now. With musical weapons that are also weapons. Musical instruments that are also weapons that are extremely powerful. Bombs? Kinda. So they go and they go around the whole island to, I guess they have their own painted world, maybe, kind of? Something similar to that.
Yeah.
On the island. And they find all of the golden bananas and get them all back, and they defeat King K. Rool, and he gets kicked off into the stratosphere? Or no, he just gets, no, yeah, he gets kicked off into the distance. And also, they befriended a giant Kremling called K-Lumsy. So then Mario has another party. Because, you know, they're getting really involved with this whole painted world thing. And they decide they're going to make a world that is entirely for propaganda purposes. Or like several worlds, actually. Because they're starting to get Koopas coming to the Mushroom Kingdom and thinking, you know, we can get more. We can, you know, let's spread some more propaganda and convince them that Bowser is bad and they should come to us. So they build a series of worlds where Bowser is like this over-the-top cartoon bad guy. Like, in very cartoonish, like, costumes. They have all these themed worlds, like a pirate world, and a western world, and a space world, where Bowser is like the bad guy that they all fight and defeat, and they show that they're the good ones, the great, strong ones.
The superstars.
And I'm trying to remember how that one ended.
Did it? Did it ever end?
Let's actually look at my notes here. Yeah, so Bowser has nothing to do with any of this. They just create a bunch of fake Bowsers in fake painted worlds to act really over the top and cartoon villainish and basically act like he has no care for his people. Which is not true at all. He absolutely cares for his people. So,
He just doesn't have wish-granting magic.
Yeah. So they're able to use this to convince a lot more Koopas and some Goombas to leave the Koopa Kingdom and join the Mushroom Kingdom. So this whole propaganda play thing, it definitely did not have Bowser involved, but we can't really know if any of the others were really there. You know, we've already seen that they can create simulacra of themselves in these painted fake worlds. So, there's not really a certainty that the people all who we saw there were actually there. And I have a feeling Wario was not actually there, as well as Bowser. Because he's busy being a businessman. And he doesn't really have any, like... There's not really any benefit to him doing this for the Mushroom Kingdom. So... he's off doing business, and the business that he's doing is more sports. And this is when we need to bring up Waluigi. So, he's about to debut, and as of right now, we've had to do a lot of speculation about Waluigi. Because, you know, there's very little concrete information in the couple of appearances we've seen so far. But here's the things that we know for certain. He is an associate of Wario's. He debuted in the Mushroom Kingdom's big tennis tournament, but he has overtly shown that he will betray Wario if a big enough prize is on the line. We also know that immediately before this big tennis tournament, Wario's plane experienced a volatile mechanical failure while he was exploring and crashed in the middle of nowhere, which easily would have killed him if he were a mortal human and not a Fey Dream Imp. So, based on these facts, our current working theory is that Waluigi is just a businessman on Earth that Wario met, who bears enough of a resemblance to an evil version of Luigi that Wario befriended him and gave him this nickname, Waluigi. And we do not know his actual name. That's not important. He's just Wario's weird friend associate. And when he found out that Wario was extremely wealthy, had no heirs or family to speak of, and frequently went off exploring in highly dangerous, far-off places, he figured that, you know, he could finagle his way into a business partnership, putting him in the position of inheriting Wario's wealth in the case of an unfortunate accident, and then he could just sabotage Wario's plane and wait for his next excursion, which he did. So Wario finds himself in the middle of nowhere with a wrecked plane, and he immediately finds a cave with a fancy-looking music box on a pedestal.
And touches it.
And he grabs it, because, it's treasure. Of course he's going to grab this treasure. And so when he goes to grab it, it pulls him into the Magic Music Box world, because there's a Magic Music Box world. So, paintings are not the only way to have portals to other Magic Pocket Dimension worlds. Which we actually already saw in Mario 64 with the Ghost House, the Booze Mansion, but... Anyway, he goes into the Magic Music Box world, and there's a mysterious figure tells him that he needs to find 5 more Magic Music Boxes inside the Magic Music Box in order to get back out. And he finds a whole bunch of other treasures along the way, because he's good at that. He finds treasures. And it turns out that mysterious figure was an evil clown god who had been sealed away, and bringing the 5 music boxes together freed him, so then Wario has to destroy him, which also inadvertently frees all the denizens of this music box world who had been cursed and turned into robots and monsters and things, and now they're all human villagers again, and they're all praising Wario, but who cares about that? He got treasure, and that's what's important. So he got the treasure, and he got out, and then he stole the music box itself, and he just walked home. He could just walk home. He's a Fey Immortal Dream Imp. He can go home from any hostile wilderness. He can walk any distance. It doesn't matter.
Even Mario can traverse large amounts of wilderness.
It's really the only reason he didn't go home immediately is he saw treasure. So, Wario gets back unharmed and even wealthier, and so Waluigi, he's got to fall back on the actual business partnership, which was, to bring tennis in as the next big sport imported from Earth to the Mushroom Kingdom. Now, the Mushroom Kingdom already knew about tennis. We saw them playing tennis earlier, but that was like a small gathering of friends kind of thing. It wasn't like this big, huge tournament with a crowd and big trophy prizes.
Painted worlds.
So So Wario and Waluigi working together. They bring tennis in, they arrange this whole big tournament, and now there's a huge, big tennis tournament in the Mushroom World, and everybody gets excited, and everyone's involved, and let's see, Bowser comes there, and Waluigi makes his big debut among the Mushroom Kingdom, into the Mushroom World in general, and Birdo is there, and Princess Daisy is there. Princess Daisy, who we have not seen since that catastrophic, golf vacation that Mario brought everyone on. And I was actually thinking about this a bit more, that, given the fact that Daisy was not seen again for a long period of time after that vacation, I can only assume at this point that Daisy was so unhappy with this vacation that she was brought onto, and blamed Peach for it, that she did not, she kind of backed away from any kind of international relationship with the Mushroom Kingdom.
Didn't go to any Mario parties.
And that's just probably a big part of why Peach had to punish Mario so severely for a boring vacation, because it sabotaged their relationship with far-off Sarasaland. But it's been a while since then, and I guess she's gotten over it, and she's come back, and she's in this tennis tournament, and now she's having a good time, so now they can have an alliance. And so there were also a set of competitors who escaped from a painted world, just like the golf dimension, because they made a tennis dimension, and it had the exact same whatever hole that the people of the dimension escaped into the real world through. And once again, competing in the real-world tournaments, and then going back to their own dimension, gave them the experience that allowed them to break the limits of their programming, and then they conquered the tennis world, and defeated the fake Mario that was the best tennis player in that world. And there's probably going to be dimensional stability issues there, like we saw with Golf World, but we haven't seen any more of that yet. So, back to Bowser. Now, the Koopa Kingdom has been focusing on the stars, learning everything they can about celestial magic and wishes, since, that's their only hope of doing anything about the Mushroom Kingdom. They've got their whole alliance with the stars and all their wish power now that Bowser needs to do something about stars and wishes in order to be able to do anything to the Mushroom Kingdom anymore. And I'm sure he's not at all happy about losing citizens to propaganda as well, having all these Koopas emigrate. So, but they come across, in their investigations, they find the story of the Star Rod, a wish-granting artifact even more powerful than the Power Stars, that is held by the Great Star Spirits, the kind of head star spirits of the celestial realms. So, they pull out their storybook magic, a consistent success for them, sort of. Something that they've just used a lot in general, and use this to insert the high-ranking Magic Koopa, Cammy, directly into the story about the Star Rod, which puts her directly into the Star Sanctuary, where she can stun the Star Spirits and summon Bowser there to grab the Star Rod. He uses the Star Rod to trap all the Star Spirits in cards, and then starts getting to work on his conquests and, using this immensely powerful artifact. So, shortly after the tennis tournament, Peach has a big party, another big, international party. Actually, might not be international. I think it's just dignitaries from around within the Mushroom Kingdom that are there. And, of course, Mario and Luigi are also there, and they're invited. During the party, Bowser attacks. He magicked his castle directly underneath Peach's castle and lifts them both into the heavens. And, then he confronts Mario, and they fight, and Bowser uses the Star Rod and easily overpowers and kills Mario, and throws his body from the castle, where it lands in a clearing off in the woods. Now, the Star Spirits are trapped in these cards, but they're not completely helpless.
It's true.
They collectively use the last of their power to revive Mario. They can't heal him fully, but they can bring him back to life. And he is soon discovered because he landed right on the outskirts of the Goomba village, the area in the Mushroom Kingdom which has been designated for Goombas to live in. There's only one family there. They're the Goombas who really hard-line bought into the kingdom's propaganda and emigrated there. They bought in so hard that they named their son after Mario. And so they find Mario and they bring him in to the Toad House there, because every settlement in the Mushroom Kingdom has a Toad agent assigned there to keep an eye on things, and they do so under the guise of running an inn, the Toad House. So Mario is brought into this Toad House, and he sleeps for days and days, is what they say. They don't give an exact count, but he's there for a significant period of time, unconscious. And he receives a vision from the stars during this, directing him to come seek them out so that he can, save things and stop Bowser. So he finally wakes up, he goes on the adventure to rescue the Star Spirits, and we won't go into all the details of that adventure. That was over 130 videos. You can check that the playlist out on the channel if you really want to see the details of that. I recommend doing so. It was a real good game. But, so here's the important points of that. So Bowser used the Star Rod to empower the minions that he'd tasked with guarding the captive Star Spirits, and Mario went around to each of them, defeated them, and rescued the Star Spirits, and he picked up a bunch of allies along the way, a bunch of companions to help out. He hit Toad Town. By the way, there is another town of Toads immediately outside Peach's castle, or at least where it just was. So that last castle, after that previous castle burned down, I guess she just gave up on the idea of keeping Toads safe by keeping them away from the castle. Or something, because, or maybe that was never the reason that she had another castle built. Maybe she just wanted another castle that would also fit Peach's MO.
I mean, most castles have a town around it to support the infrastructure. And in
Yes,
this case,
but we have very clearly seen there is not such a town around that castle from Mario 64. What's immediately outside that castle is a racetrack.
Right.
Also, that was the castle that burned down.
Right. So
this castle is by a Toad Town, and this may actually be the same location as we saw in Mario RPG. This may be that same town, just having been built up a bit more with the power of the stars that they have now, that they can expand with magic. So, there's also other places Mario went. There's the Koopa Village, the area of the kingdom designated for the Koopas who have immigrated. It's got over a dozen residents, only 4 houses, and no infrastructure aside from a small shop and the obligatory Toad House. There's Dry Outpost, which seems to be a long-established Toad colony in the desert. There are mice who are native there, who had an ancient civilization that got conquered a long time ago, and there's ruins out there that are secret, and it was kind of a bit weirdly vague about what the hell was going on in the past there. That wasn't too important to the adventure. There's a haunted forest and desolate ravine, where an independent civilization of boos seems to just keep to themselves. They're not really involved with the kingdom, aside from occasionally coming and spooking the guard in Toad Town for that immediately by the forest. There's a volcanic island where Raphael the Raven now lives, where he watches over a small tribe of Yoshis who are entirely separate from the Dinosaur Land Yoshis. There's a magic toy box world inhabited by Shy Guys. That's just kind of in Toad Town. There's a magic flower world inhabited by sentient plants and clouds and a sentient sun. And the sun and the clouds are at war? There's Shiver City, a self-governing settlement of penguins. They have their own mayor. Starborn Valley, also nearby Shiver City up in the north. It's a settlement of toads who raise star kids until they can ascend to the heavens. And the Star Haven, where star spirits live and wait to be assigned wishes to grant. So, like, there's clearly, like, a lot of collaboration going on now between the Mushroom Kingdom and the stars. They've got... The Mushroom Kingdom is now tasked with raising their young. So, that's a bit weird, but, that's that. So Mario rescues all the star spirits, he goes to Bowser's castle, he uses the star spirits and the power of wishes to overcome Bowser's and the Star Rod. He recovers the Star Rod, and the star spirits take it far away, where nobody will ever be able to get to it again. Then Peach's castle is gently dropped from the heavens and just set right back where it was, undamaged. They have another big party, and Mario's companions all leave to go on their own adventures and new lives, and Bowser's castle exploded. And he was launched off into space again. So... after all of that, and after this big party and parade that they have celebrating their victory over Bowser, and the recovery of the concept of wishes, because the Toads were, throughout this whole adventure, the Toads were extremely distraught over the fact that they could no longer have all their wishes granted immediately. Which really shows how society is developing there with their access to star magic. They're becoming both complacent and demanding. That now not having their every wish granted instantly is a cause of severe distress for them that they cannot handle. So things are going a bit bad in the Mushroom Kingdom. But after all of that, they decide that the princess and Mario and the friends decide to have a small party. Another small, just gathering of friends, and they're all just kind of hanging out by the castle, not doing a whole lot. And this is actually a different castle. This looks to be the castle that had previously burnt down, that I guess they just rebuilt with star magic? Maybe? or otherwise just reconstructed another identical castle in the exact same spot. But they're hanging out there. It's far and secluded away from the Toads. And suddenly a glimmering silver star crashes down in the middle of their relaxation. They identify this as the Millennium Star, a legendary star that comes around once every 1,000 years, and it said whoever owns it is destined to become the superstar of the universe, whatever that's supposed to mean. Now, as always, whenever the concept of superstar comes up, everybody in this group starts fighting like children over who is the superstar. And so they're all fighting amongst each other over who should have the right to own this Millennium Star to become the superstar of the universe. And while they're fighting, a suspiciously helpful Lakitu comes by carrying a toy box, and out from the toy box, they produce the board game Mario Party, suggesting that they play it to determine who gets to own the star. So this board game, which presumably was set up as a trap by Bowser, that gave this Lakitu this toy box and sent him off to say, like, oh, the next time something happens that I might want to be involved with, distract everyone with this stupid board game that I made. And that's why there's now a board game of Mario Party in here. But as they're about to start playing the game, when suddenly they all get transported into the toy box by the star, who, you know, is a sentient star, is a star spirit, and forces them to compete as game pieces in the board game to fill up a stamp card to earn the right to own him.
It's very unusual.
So they all start competing in this board game because that's all they have available to do, and they all want to own this star. And while they're doing that, three things happen. Number one of Bowser's cohorts, those little baby Bowsers that he made the last time he stole stars from their party, he was spying on them and reports to Bowser about the Millennium Star. And so Bowser comes by and he enters the toy box. He is at this point, he's not really fully recovered from the previous adventures and having, you know, maybe there's withdrawal from having used the Star Rod. Maybe it's just the fact that his castle exploded and no, it's probably just some kind of weird mystic withdrawal due to the Star Rod, because otherwise he would have, you know, the Koopa Kingdom's magic could just help him recover. But he's not doing too well. And he gets hopelessly lost trying to find everyone and get involved with this competition. Number two, Princess Daisy arrives late to the party. Presumably she'd been invited, but she didn't make it on time. But she gets there, she finds her way into the toy box, and seduces the Millennium Star into letting her join the competition near the end. And Bowser shows up and confronts them at this point, and Daisy just kind of launches him into space. Again, he's not at his best right now.
It's also within this weird toy world.
Yeah, maybe there's also some kind of weird effects going on with this toy box magic thing of the star affecting him. The third thing, Waluigi, who was not invited to the party, was also spying on them. And he saw the Millennium Star and he saw everyone get shot into the toy box. So he sneaks into the toy box afterwards, but he doesn't go and try to join the competition right away. He goes off to one of the game boards that they're not competing on right now and takes it over with pure charisma. Like, he convinces the piranha plants that operate that board to just be his minions, and they dismantle and rebuild the board with all his iconography and his traps and such, and then he steals one of the star stamps, which, you know, the stamps to fill up the stamp card, and uses that to force his way into the competition. And then Bowser shows up again. He returns for one more shot at getting into this competition. And Waluigi just beats the shit out of him. Just straight up beats him down. So, Waluigi is actively trying to, like, take the spot as prime antagonist of the series at this point. He's just trying to be the big bad guy. And this is why I was saying before that Waluigi is clearly willing to backstab Wario if there's a big enough prize on the line. Because, this Millennium Star shows up, and he is just willing to fight everybody else over this with subterfuge and skullduggery. So, he forces his way into the competition, but he ends up losing. And he does not win the star. So then there is one final battle with the Millennium Star, and, I'm being vague about who's actually doing this because you play as all the characters getting through and winning the game and beating the Millennium Star. But whoever it is doesn't really matter because he finally at the end reveals himself to be a fraud and runs off to space. He was not actually the Millennium Star. The real Millennium Star was there, hiding inside the sentient dice block from the board game that was brought to life as part of this whole thing. And he just declares somebody to be the superstar of the universe, but then just teleports everyone out of the toy box and fucks off to space. That's the whole adventure. Nothing of any import actually happened. So, I guess they finished their party, they finished relaxing, and they're back to the normal, the day-to-day, which, in this case, is more propaganda. Peach is stepping up her propaganda efforts, switching to a focus on healthcare. Previous propaganda efforts was all about Bowser is bad, and we're good, we have the power of the stars, and we can use that to beat Bowser and stop him from hurting you, and that's why you should move to the Mushroom Kingdom. And now, they decide to bring out the old Dr. Mario commercial persona to make some ad spots for Mega Vitamins, a magically created panacea that they have. Just be like, hey, come to the Mushroom Kingdom, we have Mega Vitamins! And, they trick Wario into helping with this advertising campaign by, filming a bunch of throwaway scenes that make him look good, that he thinks was the actual commercial or whatever the hell he thought he was doing. And along the way, while they're doing that, Wario sells them the likenesses of several people and things from that music box world he owns now.
Like Dr.
Like Mad Scienstein, Dr. Ayo who wasn't from the music box world, I don't think. He was just there, investigating it.
He kind of gets trapped at these places, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he's an archaeologist himself. He's a professor. Explorer, and,
yeah.
So he just kind of wound up trapped in that music box, and Wario met him, and then I guess he got out, and he might have actually been there helping with these commercials. I doubt it, because that's not really any... Maybe Mad Scienstein helped out with these commercials, and possibly helped trick Wario into doing them, in exchange for funding for his own expeditions. Because it's shortly afterwards, he gets, hits it big and finds something important that we'll discuss in a moment.
Either way, the advertisement system happened, and then...
Yeah, they do all these ads. And then Peach needs to stop doing propaganda for a little bit, because she needs to step back and repair the Gulf Dimension. Because, after the loss of the core conceptual purpose that it was built on, that being, the... Mario is the world's greatest golfer, and everyone in the world is trying to become the greatest golfer so they can defeat Mario, and somebody actually did it, so now the world is kind of cracking apart because it no longer has a purpose. So, using the same, process that they used to create these magical worlds, she expands the Gulf Dimension into a more fleshed-out world that can persist on its own without needing a core conceptual purpose to be built around. She mostly does this by copying things from Earth that she was vaguely aware of in, like, a touristy way. Like, a bunch of just tourist attraction landmarks, big landmarks from various locations on Earth, like the Eiffel Tower and the Sydney Opera House and things like that, that are just kind of haphazardly thrown around in this world. So, she's built this out and made the Gulf Dimension more real. And as a side effect, the people of the Gulf Dimension have become more real. And, much like all the 4 golfers who escaped into the real world and then came back, pretty much everyone in the Gulf Dimension is now capable of growing and changing, because the world itself has grown. And she assigns Foreman Spike to watch over this Gulf Dimension and ensure it remains stable. Because Spike is, you know, he fled to the Mushroom Kingdom for sanctuary and has been kept in the painted worlds that they have to keep him safe from Bowser. And he's mellowed out, he's calmed down, he's decided to give up on revenge and such, and so he's just there to help and kind of do his job, making sure the Golf Dimension remains stable, and also cleaning up all of the stray golf balls in the world. So, that's where Spike is now, and possibly forever. I actually do not think we ever see Spike again.
We'll see.
Let's see, then there's another go-karting Grand Prix race. There's nothing too important there, although we did learn that Bowser is building fortifications along the Celestial Warfront. He's just got a whole bunch of sky castles now. But next up, so as we mentioned, Mad Scienstein finds a big archaeological discovery. He discovers an ancient golden pyramid of like an ancient civilization, and you know he's got his team in there to research it. But they all get chased off by monsters and traps and deadly problems. But there's a story about it in the news, and Wario reads it, and he decides that he doesn't care about dangerous monsters and traps and such, so he's gonna go and loot it himself, because there's nobody else to stop him. Except for the dangerous monsters and traps, which he can deal with. So he goes to this ancient golden pyramid, and he starts looting it, and it has a bunch of painted worlds in there.
Yeah.
And these are not magic-based. They seem to be technology-based. Like, powered by technology. So, at, Super Mario Advance 2, here, we've got all of these Yoshi coins, and it tracks your collection of them. When you collect all the Yoshi coins, you get this cool little scene here.
Lots of money.
All of the Yoshi coins that you collected piling up into big old stacks of gold. Oh, look at that. And now you got a big Yoshi coin, and Yoshi's gonna come up, and he eats it. And he's gonna put it in an egg, and it comes out as a Peach coin.
Perfect. For some reason.
So, that Peach coin does mean something, and I'll explain that in a little bit, but first we have another scene coming up, because at the same time I also finished clearing all of the exits.
Ah.
And we got this scene of Luigi. He's up in his balloon, and he's got these Mario costume heads that he's kicking out of the balloon. Mario and Luigi have found all the goals! Congratulations! Now you can play a slightly different dinosaur land.
Slightly.
So, this is, this was in the original game, not the cutscene, but this change that happens here, where, in the original Super Mario World, this happened after you cleared the special world. It would have, like, certain, enemies would have, like, different costumes, different appearances, and certain, the palettes of the overworld map would change slightly into more of, like, an autumn palette. But otherwise, it's no, like, gameplay change. It's a cosmetic change. And in this game, that happens when you clear all the goals, instead of when you clear the special world.
Congratulations.
This version actually has a few more changes. Now, Goombas and Pokies have also had their appearances changed. So there's some kind of ancient tech going on with, like, alternate dimensions and connecting to them, and, basically what I'm saying is, Mist is canonical to Mario now, I think? So anyway, Wario destroys a bunch of ancient ghosts in this pyramid, and he steals a bunch of treasure, and he inadvertently frees the ancient Princess Shikora from the curse that trapped her spirit there, allowing her to ascend to heaven, but that's not important, he got treasure, and now he brought it all home, and he expands all his business holdings. He's got, like, a new toy shop, and robot shops, and he has a rocket ship now that he can use to visit his planet that he still has in space. And then he goes out and has a nice night out on the town with several women whose torsos are smaller than his head. Because Wario's physical dimensions are really weird. So, that's how Wario's doing. He's, once again, being very successful. So then, Luigi wins a contest. He gets a letter saying that he won a mansion in a contest. He doesn't remember entering this contest, but that's not suspicious at all, so he invites Mario to meet him there at this mansion to celebrate. But it's off in the middle of these spooky woods, and he gets lost on his way there, and so by the time he arrives, Mario has already been there for a while, and got captured by the ghosts who built the mansion as a trap. He meets there, living nearby, Professor Elvin Gadd, a ghost scientist. That's a scientist who studies ghosts, not a scientist who is a ghost. And Egad collects ghosts by trapping them in portraits using a machine that he invented. And he's got this big gallery of all the ghosts that he captured in portraits over his career. He had recently captured the Boolossus, an amalgam of boos, which angered the King Boo, who broke into the gallery and freed everything. All of the ghosts across Geekad's entire career in this gallery got freed by the King Boo, and they all collectively built this mansion overnight, and then the Boos decided to lure the Mario Brothers there to trap them. Because Boos hate Mario Brothers. Because they kind of have a history of working for Bowser, and Mario dealing with them, and it's not really clear exactly what kind of beef they have, aside from just they don't like the Mario Brothers. So Egad gives Luigi the tools that he'll need to recapture these ghosts, and Luigi spends the night exploring the mansion, capturing the ghosts, finding riches, and being terrified. Being extremely terrified. And he finds Mario trapped in a painting. So, end of the game, when you defeat Bowser, there is actually a slight change. Two things here. I mean, there's also a slight change during the fight with Bowser, in that it actually shows the HUD. In the original Super Mario World, it would not show the HUD.
Yeah.
But here, Mario and Luigi's adventure is over. It actually says Mario and Luigi instead of just Mario. Even if you beat the game with Luigi in the original, it would say Mario. You saw that.
Mario
But,
took all the credit away.
Here, we actually have Luigi getting the credit as well. And they all have a nice time and a picnic. And, the actual ending is pretty much the same. With one difference being Luigi is also there.
Yeah.
But, otherwise, yeah, it's the same. Okay, there's a slight addition to the credits being the people who worked on the remake. But otherwise, it's the same credits, it's the same everything here. So, once again, we have found, like, another variety of painted world, sort of. This one powered by spectral energies. So, there's now these trap paintings that can be used to trap people. So Luigi finds Mario, he finds the King Boo, who tries to trick him into thinking Bowser's there by wearing a Bowser costume for some reason. But Luigi defeats the King Boo and captures him and all the other ghosts, and then he puts them all in the gallery, and he frees Mario, and the mansion vanishes. So Egad is grateful to Luigi, so he uses all of the treasure that Luigi had found in this mansion, which did not vanish, to build him a new, non-haunted mansion in its place. So now Luigi has a mansion. Somewhere in the Mushroom World, don't know exactly where. He just owns this big mansion. So yeah, we've got a mansion, we've got ghost-powered paintings, and that's it. That's the most recent thing that happened. That was the last game. Oh, also, there's a parallel universe with a god being called Master Hand who likes to animate his toys to fight each other, and some of those toys are Mario's, but none of that is particularly important. That Mario is not actually there, they're toys.
Okay.
That's just a thing that's also happening off on the side. But that is it. We're caught up. That's the whole recap.
That's the entire story of everyone.
So far.
So far.
But while this plays out, let's do our little closeout, our ending of the thing. We've still got a couple other things that we'll talk about when we see the new stuff after the post game couple of things. But yeah, last couple of things. So this game. This was a decent game. This remake. It was not bad. It wasn't great. It didn't have a lot of new stuff like the Super Mario Advance 1 did. There were a few moments here and there where the restricted screen size caused me a few issues, but for the most part, it wasn't that bad. It was okay. And so I would say this is a good way to experience Super Mario World in 2001 if you do not have a SNES, and if you never had a SNES, if you missed that console generation. Or just missed the game at the time. So, nice, good time game. What was I doing? So, coming up next, this is actually the last game of 2001. We're now finished with 01. We finished another year. So yeah, 2001 went a hell of a lot quicker than 2000 did.
Yeah.
Like, almost half as long? It's about the same length as 99 did, and hopefully it's going to be more this length of each year for a while. 02 is actually kind of it's simultaneously a small and big year for Mario, because there were only 4 Mario games in 2002. But one of them, the next one coming up, is Super Mario Sunshine. So that's going to be a big one. That's going to take a while. That's going to start tomorrow, and it's going to be real good. We're going to have a lot of fun with that.
Okay.
So here at the very end, we have this nice little the end.
The end.
People standing around.
And Luigi was there.
And Luigi was there. And look, it's a photograph. They took a photograph of them standing kind of awkwardly in the middle of an empty field on a hill.
Land.
So, and here we've got that the new palette of the world you can see here for the change. And there's also, after you beat the game, there is a slightly new opening cutscene.
Not just brown.
Not just brown. It changes the palette when you've got all the goals, but it also has just there's a slightly different scene, and we'll see it here in a little bit. You know, it starts out the same. It's got they got their balloon, and they land, and they're gonna have the picnic, and Mario and Luigi go off flying irresponsibly, leaving the princess alone. And here we've got all of the changed palette things. The Koopas there. The Bullet Bills are the crows.
The Goombas have
the Goombas are those weird things with glasses. The Piranha Plants are pumpkins now. And Pokies are these weird things. Well, sort of like Thwimps. Like stacked up Thwimps, kind of almost. Anyway, yeah, Peach doesn't get kidnapped here. Because now we've saved the Yoshi. She's got Yoshi guards now. So, she's been protected, so now we actually get to have our nice little picnic. And that's our new opening cutscene. It's all happy.
And then
then it becomes Yoshi's Island styled.
That's normal. Anyway, here just gonna do a quick look at the thing. So, Peach coins. After you get all of the Yoshi coins, normally you pick up all the Yoshi coins in a level, and you go back to the level, there are no more Yoshi coins. They go away. After you've collected all of the Yoshi coins, they come back as Peach coins. It's not a new collectible, it's not a new thing that you have to collect for any kind of completion of anything. It's just, now all of the coins are back, you can collect them again, and they show up as Peach coins, as like the visual indicator. It's an aesthetic change. And also like a visual indicator, hey, you got them all, cool, here's a cool thing. And just going through here, here's all of the stages, all completed with all the full things in here. Also, after you get all the exits, you can use that menu to teleport around the world.
Yeah.
So that's a way to... Actually, no, I think it's after you beat the game you can do that? I don't remember. Sidebar will say when exactly that ability unlocks. But you can use that to teleport around to whatever stage you want to, replay, or if you're missing coins, to go and grab those. But, yeah, that's it. That's it for this game.
Yeah, if you liked, then you should subscribe and tell your friends. And, or check us out on Patreon.
Yeah, as we mentioned at the start of this, we've got a Patreon. Patreon.com/mimeticdevice. And if you patronize us there, if you donate and contribute there, you can get your name shout out at the end of our series. Like this guy, Chug Iron, our first and currently only patron.
Thanks a lot for supporting us.
This game's videos are brought to you by Chug Iron.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you enjoy our work, check that out. Maybe throw us some cash here. But otherwise, stick around, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and tune in tomorrow, where we'll start Super Mario Sunshine. So, bye everyone.